a kind of a set of an idle parasitic rent collecting or rent seeking class whose business is to propagate profligacy and corruption within the system. But I insist that within this space lies certain persons that have sacrificed a lot, that are willing, if given opportunity, to develop this country and make hard decisions that will not reflect the impediments that we have suffered. In a country where we have been set aback, we have gone through certain kind of deterioration of some sort under the watch or under the auspices of religious bigotry, ethnic chauvinism, ethnic profiling, identity politics, and unbridled corruption.
But Steve, the idea of political parties is that it should be a platform for sieving some of the characters that you have talked about and making sure that those that get to political offices are really those that are committed to the well-being of the people. But what we see is that the political parties have become a market where the highest bidder becomes the representative of the people.
Like I said earlier on, the major problem today is what becomes the fate of the country. What country are we living for our children? Even if you feel that feeling immune, if you feel, protected by certain scenario that has played out today, probably you have enough money, you're getting enough patronage from the government today. What about your children tomorrow? What kind of environment are you living for them?
So what do we do?
So this is exactly why I talk of personalities within government or within political parties. Those personalities determine the fate of the political parties. As an institution, if you unveil the veil, you find out that human beings actually determine what happens within the institution called political parties. So the caliber of men and women that congregate to form political parties or manage them will also influence the outcome of what they generate or what they produce.
So what do we do, Steve? What do we do? What do we do to make the political parties exactly what they are supposed to be?
What we need to do first is that we need to accept that we have moved so much on the reverse gear. This country needs to move forward. So individually and collectively, there should be a wake-up call. And that's why I like whatever played out in the last election. There seemed to be a reawakening, there seemed to be a rebirth, there seemed to be a renaissance on the side of the youth and entirety of the people. They felt it was enough. Despite the fact that probably the result of God could have reflected what they wished or not, but you could see that they made a statement. So the Nigerian politicians, the elitist class, they have become wary of what the electorate can do, of what the populace can do, of the defiance that the electorate can actually generate within the society. So for you to now conduct a proper party, you have to reflect on the powers of the electorate and how they're going to react. So this is no longer a time you do all manner of sham primaries and end up bringing rogue elements to govern your people. It's a time to look for a candidate that will resonate with the yearning of the masses, with the interest of the poor majority.
Some experts have talked about conflicts in the political parties, making it impossible for the political parties to actually concentrate on their primary duty of being the incubation hub for leaders that can cause change to happen. Let's look at Labour Party in Nigeria, for instance. They made a lot of gains in the last election. Today, they almost dissipated. Let's look at the PDP, your party. In the past 3 or more years, it's been a struggle of who is in charge and who is winning and who is losing. And I remember one of the positions you held like a year ago was to go and reconcile your party men in Ebonyi State. So conflict, conflict, and conflict. How can we change the course of political parties instead of being battlegrounds, so they can be that platform that would throw up the leaders that can change our country?
Well, let me start with the first suspicion that the PDP, the Labour Party, seem to be faltering, seem to be, capitulating in terms of, the quality of leadership one would expect. And there seems to be identity crisis as to who is in charge. First of all, I see the voice of Jacob, but the hands of Esau. I think that people are surreptitiously, tacitly trying to infiltrate into the parties to create a one-party system. And I think if we deny ourselves the opportunity of having plurality of voices, plurality of opinions through the channels or through the instrumentality of party politics, then we will dive into dictatorship. So first of all, let me talk about the party I know, which is the PDP. Things that happen with the Labour Party, I don't think they concern me a lot. But for the PDP, the governors of the PDP have actually stepped up. They have engaged gear at the right time, and they want to recover their party. So all the machineries of the party are working in one accord at the moment, in a very vigorous attempt to re-establish their party, to be effective enough to go into primaries and bring out a candidate that can challenge for the office of the presidency.
Okay, Steve, we'll take a break and go to our conversation with the great entertainer and TV personality, Chief Chika Okpala, how he grew up and at what point he made contact with television entertainment. So we take that and we conclude our conversation in a moment.
Your mother come, my mother no come.
Who be your mother? Police woman.
Shut up.
Get away. Come, go look pretty with the knock. Look at
yeah, what am I here? What am I here in that place? Eh? Who? Until that long come. Ah! How are you? How are the whole people? Oh, you're welcome. Sit down. My God, come over here, that coach. I took this out to come to resort.
Immediately after the war.
Good.
I came into it was a kind of everybody rushing to ENUGU. Anywhere you are, any vehicle you see, you go to ENUGU, whether you have somebody there or not. That was how I came to ENUGU. I didn't have any brother, I didn't have any sister, I didn't have anybody in ENUGU. My senior brother was still in IMT, College of Technology, ENUGU here, and he's trying to struggle to finish his OND at that time, OND. So I said, I cannot stay alone at home. I must do something. So I saw some people, when I got to our for market where the vehicles load to go to ENUGU or go to Onitsha, people were rushing to go to ENUGU. So I entered the vehicle. I came to ENUGU.
And you had nobody?
I had nobody. No place to, I didn't have anybody in mind. I didn't even know where my brother was there. I didn't even know where the College of Education is. I mean,
College of Technology was.
Is. I just entered the vehicle and came. Luckily, they stopped us at Okpara Avenue by Zik Avenue. You know, by Ogbete now.
By Ogbete.
That's where they used to stop in those days. And very, very luckily, I looked up, this was Nigerian Red Cross. Okay? I checked my pocket, I had my ID card. So I moved into that place, got into the Red Cross, introduced myself, told them that I work with the Nigerian Red Cross, Biafran Red Cross, down there to say, hey, we are looking for you. You will know your people, come. You know? I say, look, what you're going to do, you are going to take charge of clinic kitchen. I said, which one is clinic? I said, everybody, you see the people on the line. By then, you have about 200 people on the line.
Looking for
queuing
food.
for food, for drink, water to drink, for food. Now, you are now going to make sure that each of them has food. So the cook and the chef will bring the food, keep for you. Now you get the chefs to serve the meal.
You supervised?
You supervise. So you are a supervisor. I say, yes, sir, no problem. Me, supervisor, no problem. Give me stool. They gave me stool, I sat down. Come and take. Come and take.
And that was a job?
It was a big job.
Employment, just like that?
Just like that. Just like that. I say, okay. But I did it so well that they think, I acted it. And they say, this man is different from other people. Stay, this is your job now. So people were coming to take dish their food, take their ration.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming for ration. They were taking and going. And when it was about 4:35, they said, it's okay. You will now go. We will give you your own food. Come and sit down here and eat. Because I had not eaten since morning. So they gave me food. I ate. As I settled down to eat, look at my friend, Ogonago, the one I was with in the Two Cities Playhouse.
Okay.
At Nobi.
At Nobi.
You understand what I mean?
He just appeared.
Just like he came to take ration. He came to take ration. He had left for ENUGU weeks
before you.
Before me, and he didn't tell me he was going to ENUGU. Everybody was on his own, that kind of thing. So I said, Ogonna, I said, Chika, how did you find yourself here? I said, how did you find yourself here? I said, well, that's the thing now. Where are you staying? I said, I don't have a place to stay. He said, don't worry, you have a place to stay. Come now, have you eaten? I said, no. So I ordered for food for him. He took food. I took my own ration. We ate together. And when we finished, we took another ration for dinner. Since I was a supervisor, so I had the right to say, put one more ration, put one more ration. So all of us will tie the thing. But the funniest part of it was that nobody had plate.
Then?
It's either you go to get akuko, you get these leaves and keep. They put the food for you there. There's no spoon, there's no fork. If it is, what is it called? Garigabon or something. It's not, it's like ordinary gari, but not garigabon or something like that. Then you are lucky. You take this kind of leaf and wrap it and hold it in the other hand. It is a soup that is a problem. So you go and look for newspaper. People who have read newspaper and thrown away, you use it and they put soup for you. So that's how people collected food. So we collected our own, went to Zik Avenue where he was staying. And when we got there, it was a room and parlor from, rented by the in-law, by the brother-in-law, So he said, no problem. You will know the owner of this house, of the accommodation when he comes in. I said, how can I know him? He said, you will know him. So late in the evening, Tony Face came in. That's the owner of the accommodation. He came in and jumped. I said, yeah, Chika, you are here. Hey, God. Come. Ogonna, please, oh, this mat is for two of you. So both of you will sleep in that mat. I said, how did you? I said, well, I got a job with the Nigerian Red Cross. I said, all right. And from Nigerian Red Cross, I left. I want to cut it short. I left to Rehabilitation Commission. Not leaving Nigerian Red Cross because that's where the main food is.
Yes, yeah.
If I left my food, then I'm done. I went to Rehabilitation Commission, they said they want to put up a show. They want to start going from local government to local government to perform.
To enlighten people, sensitize.
Kind of bringing back the life to the people. I said, that's what I do. I said, okay, you're going to produce a show here. Try and start thinking of what kind of show you are going to produce. I said, okay. So I was there, thinking, writing what we did at home at ENUGU. I tried to concoct it to put up to a show. Then they said we were going to the ministry to get us some money to be able to organize this show because they know that we'll have to. But I did not see the money, I did not see the organization, but I wasn't bothered because I had a place to stay and I had my Red Cross job to do, so I was okay. So when I came back in the evening, Ogonna said, look, this one you're talking of going to rehabilitation, this ministry, nobody, you're not going to be okay with the ministry. That I have where we go to rehearsals. All the big in this town. The, what do you call them? Permanent secretaries, managers, so and so in the industry and in the government. They have a rehearsal at British Council, Ogi Road. And from Nigerian Red Cross, I left. I want to cut it short. I left to Rehabilitation Commission. Not leaving Nigerian Red Cross because that's where the main food is.
Yes, yeah.
If I left my food, then I'm done. I went to Rehabilitation Commission, they said they want to put up a show. They want to start going from local government to local government to perform.
To enlighten people, sensitize.
Kind of bringing back the life to the people. I said, that's what I do. I said, okay, you're going to produce a show here. Try and start thinking of what kind of show you are going to produce. I said, okay. So I was there, thinking, writing what we did at home at ENUGU. I tried to concoct it to put up to a show. Then they said they were going to the ministry to get us some money to be able to organize this show because they know that we'll have to. But I did not see the money, I did not see the organization, but I wasn't bothered because I had a place to stay and I had my Red Cross job to do, so I was okay. So when I came back in the evening, Ogonna said, look, this one you're talking of going to rehabilitation, this ministry, nobody, you're not going to be okay with the ministry. That I have where we go to rehearsals. All the big in this town. The, what do you call them? Permanent secretaries, managers, so and so in the industry and in the government. They have a rehearsal at British Council, Ogi Road. And if you come there and you are lucky to be taken, you are done. I said, okay. Will you be going there? I said, yes, yes. Let's go together. So I left rehabilitation. I moved to British Council. And when we got to British Council, he said, this man is Mr. James Iroha. He is the producer of this show. He works in ECBS.
ESBS.
I mean,
Eastern Nigeria Broadcasting. Yes.
ESBS, of course.
Yeah.
Not Enugu State.
Yes, I know.
Eastern Nigeria Broadcasting Service. That's where he works, and he's a producer. He's producing this show. And then even his Oga is also there. All the partners, Chris Fodile, what are they? There are so many of them.
They were all there.
They were all there. That's matured people were there. I said, So James saw me and said, oh, my good friend, young boy, I like you. Fine, come. The problem is that I have casted that we have a show we call Sons and Daughters by J.C. de Graaf of Ghana. And it's a very interesting show. Of course, you watch us do our rehearsals and you make assessment by yourself. I said, okay, no problem. But I have given out the parts, all of them. But what I will do for you is to double cast you. That your friend here is playing the lead part, Aaron. Now, Aure is played by Olebara, not Nnamdi Olebara, but the senior brother who was teaching at Holy Rosary College, One. So this is where it all started. So Aure is a friend to Aaron. Aaron played by my friend. Aure is also a friend of mine. So we got on fine. But Aure is a teacher and he didn't want to miss school. So, but they wouldn't put rehearsals during school hours. They would put rehearsals after school hours so that everybody is accommodated. Even those in the ministries can come in. Those in NTA. I'm not NTA, but Eastern Nigeria Broadcasting Service should have closed from work and come in. So everybody will come in by 4 p.m. We rehearse until 9 p.m. and everybody goes home. So I was there going to buy cigarettes, going to buy minerals for people who are thirsty and all this, buy water and all that. I was a general duty boy. And we started on. James Zero has said, no, you have to come to me, with me to Eastern Trusted Broadcasting Service. I mean, yes, Eastern Trusted Broadcasting Service. That I have a show I've written, a radio show, which you call In a Lighter Mood. In a Lighter Mood is ticked chats and jokes. You know, he tells some little stories, some humorous stories, and then put some jokes into it. Now he wants to act the jokes, or the jokes to be acted while he tells the story. I said, fine. Whatever we can do to keep our people happy, let's go ahead. So we rehearsed, and it was beautiful. Then it was Clarus himself, Madam Trueward Obba, and Selina Nwobo. 4 of them. There were only 4 characters. So when I came in, they said, well, they had already gotten a chief. And the chief was Nsofo Obua, was quite big, a huge. Our idea of chiefs are people who are huge, not slimy, tiny people like me. So I said, let's go ahead. I continue picking balls for you. Continue going to buy this and that and that. I said, okay. Then, fortunately, Obi Abuna, Professor Obi Abuna, he was a prof before he left. He died. Yeah. Was rehearsing his show, Wind versus Polygamy. And they casted me a hunter in it. Then the man playing chief, Josephat Okurunwobo, at that time, in that Chats and Jokes, Nsofobua, was casted the chief Ozuomba.
In that drama piece?
In that drama bit that we call, did I call it now? In that drama bit. So I said, what do I do? Now that they have also taken away this one. He said, no. James Iroha is their producer. Here too. He's producing the drama here. The Wind versus Polygamy is being produced by him. Then the one at ESBS
was also being produced by him.
It wasn't about 3 weeks. Ukwabiasika Ajay appointed him what did I call Professor you remember him now?
Is it Obiebuna?
Obiebuna.
Yeah.
Professor Obiebuna appointed him director of programs. NTA. I'm not NTA, but ESBS TV. It's Interested Broadcasting Television. It was just reactivated. So he appointed him. But apart from that, that of Abba had been reactivated. So he's overlooking that of ENUGU and that of Abba. Now, what do? Obiebuna said, I wouldn't want somebody to play a double role. If you are playing in Ozomba, Chief Ozomba show, you won't be playing in Masquerade show. But then it was called Masquerade. So, two of you have to choose whether you are going to act Chief Ozomba or you are going to act Chief Josephat Okurunwobo. That was how Chief Josephat Okurunwobo came to me.
The great Zebediah Okorigwe Nwobo, Chief Chika Okpala. I still have Steve Oruro in the studio. Steve, let's conclude our conversation. You've talked about how we could make some progress in making the parties what they should be. But it looks like there's constant opposition to this happening. The state governors, they have too much powers and they control the parties and decide the fate of everyone. Do you agree with some school of thought that for political parties to survive Nigeria, that we need to do something about the powers that the governors have?
I don't agree. I don't even stage impossibility. I don't engage pursuit of, futility of some sort. Because the way party is structured, it goes in line with the leadership of the state, particularly when you have a governor who is of the party's extraction. Definitely he's going to be the leader of the party, while you also have a chairman of the party. So if there are people that are very creative and very willing to partner with Nigerians in this constant search for emancipation from sequence of misrule, then you see them behaving in a way that will propagate an effective, very robust, and very qualitative party where there will be national consensus, where there will be, exemplary leadership that others can emulate.
But the governors don't allow the chairman to be chairman.
No, I disagree. It all depends on the governor. That's why I talk about individuals. It borders on the personality. I've told you that a typical Nigerian position, has like two different characters. If you present the quality of character that is in consonance with, with quality delivery of the dividends of democracy and standard practices in tune with what Nigerians expect, you find your result. If you're also unlucky to find a governor who is not in that spirit, he's going to distort the process.
Do you think that the crop of governors can give us a democratic party across board, whether they are APC, whether they are PDP, whether they are APGA, whether they are Labour Party?
I don't think so. I can only speak about the governors I stand for, particularly the ENUGU governor, with the practice that he has come to do. But that will be a matter for another day. But the most important thing as it stands today is that we are seeking independence. Nigerian people, through the party, are seeking independence, not from the imperialists, not from the colonial masters, but from the dysfunctional political class, from those who engage in elitist deceit and intellectual dishonesty. They are looking for leaders that can call their own leaders.
Are we hopeless?
Well, it's not a hopeless situation. I told you that we have characters that are credible, piloting the affairs of the party and determine the future of the people. Because the party is not just a party, but it's a conduit pipe for leadership recruitment process. So if you don't find the right party and right attitude within the rank and file of the party, you're likely going to find a dysfunctional system. Okay,
Steve, I'd like to thank you for your time and for your insights. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much.
And that was Steve Oruro, Deputy Chairman of PDP in Enugu State. And that's where we're drawing the curtain on our show tonight. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo from Enugu in Nigeria. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. If you missed part of this program and you want to watch it again, go to signaturetv.org or download the Signature app. Thanks for watching, and let's do it again tomorrow night at 11 p.m.
Why do people evade tax? Why is it that the propensity or the tendency to evade tax is very high in Nigeria? It has to do with the social contract, the failure on the part of government, to fulfill its own part. Okay, a situation where individuals or firms provide virtually everything they need that the government ought to have provided. Okay, things like power, for example, If you're a small business, you have to bother about power. You get a generator. Water. You provide your own water. You provide your own security. At some point too, you have to also help to do the road to your office and so on. So when you look at all these things, it does not encourage people to voluntarily say they want to pay tax, because on the part of government, they also feel the government is slacking. Government is not meeting its own responsibility. So that is the failure of the social contract, that has been with us.
From the president to the ministers to the governors, all of them, 98% of them attended public schools from primary, secondary to university level, paying almost nothing. Now go to a typical primary and secondary school in your locality and see how it has been destroyed over the years, simply because people in the position of power have the resources that they have accrued from the national treasury to take their children and give them the best of education in any part of the world. Keep that aside. 98% of people in the position of power, their mother either gave birth to them in their homes or in public hospitals, because in the last 40, 50, 60 years, how many private hospitals do we have in Nigeria? But now go to a typical private hospital, public hospital, and see what you have there. I was invited for an event, and then the head of a public school was delivering a speech, and he said, government can no more build hostels, government can no more give scholarships. So what can government do? You attended a public university, lived in a public hostel, and now you find yourself in a position of power. You cannot build more hostels for the generation that succeeded you. You went to public school and was given a scholarship by your state government, and you are in a position of power. You cannot give scholarship to the children of the poor. You cannot build a nation when you rob Peter to pay Paul. If the system is that of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then they should only expect patriotism from Paul, not from Peter. So if this country will experience peace and stability, then we must ensure social justice and equity. These teamy young people who are sitting down, we don't know. This is a cake of gunpowder. This is a time bomb for our country. If you think that because you have 4 or 5 children that you have educated well and then you don't care. But those are your children, which country are they going to live in? They're still going to live in this country here.
And the world mourns. Just a day after the Easter celebration, the Pope passed on at the age of 88, and the world is mourning. And the underlying word that I'm seeing across the world is the service to humanity. It's, again, a clarion call to everyone that you would pay the supreme price of death. But again, what lives on is your legacy. What legacy are you living on today? What are you doing now to touch humanity? What would you be remembered for when you are gone? That is one thing that I would love you to really think through as you reflect on the death of Pope. Welcome, everyone. This is the morning show on Signature TV. I'm Charles Pius. We're back after the short break for the headlines on the dailies. We kickstart on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the Daily Trust, the screaming headlines: Kano Kasina Jigawa gets 2-hour power supply daily. With the rider, small businesses suffer losses. KEDC blames outage on system upgrade. Pope Francis: what happens when a pope dies? 137 cardinals to choose new pontiff. After 19 days, Tinubu returns from France and UK trips. 5 dead, 13 injured as truck rams into procession in Gombe. All the details on the Daily Trust. And now over to the Blueprint newspaper. On the Blueprint this morning, Ghanaian Cardinal, 9 others in line as Pope Francis dies at 88. With the writer, Tinubu, Buhari, other world leaders mourn. He was a towering figure of faith and mercy, says the Christian Association of Nigeria. Plateau under siege, 3,000 lost to attacks since 2015, says Muthwang. Ganduje rallies diaspora support for Tinubu, inaugurates Exco in France. All right, all the details you can find on the Blueprint newspaper. Let's move over now to the Nation newspaper. On the Nation this morning, IMF urges nations with huge debts to seek restructuring. With the writer, Jibo tackles agency on reforms comments. NNPCL slashes petrol pump price to 880 naira per litre. US adjusts visa request procedure for applicants. EFCC arrests 2 suspects over 1.3 trillion naira CBEX scam. Britain, 4 others indicted. All the details you can find. Bye-bye, Pope Francis. World mourns humble pontiff, the Vatican head of state. IG raises probe panel on Natasha's threats to life, allegation against Akpabio. All of the details you can find on the Nation. And now over to the Guardian newspaper. On the Guardian this morning, manufacturers groan as alternative energy gulps 1.1 trillion naira in 1 year. It's on page 6. Tributes for man of humility. Pope for the poor as Vatican awaits new leader. Pope Francis, 1936 to 2025. Moro accuses Tinubu of ignoring Senate insecurity resolutions. Adeleke decries arson of Ilesa High Court, orders probe. Fubara supporters await recall, say Tinubu acted in reverse interests. Fubara supporters await recall, say Tinubu acted in reverse interest. Group alleges killing of 20,300 persons, 19,000 churches, schools destroyed in the southeast. All the details you can find in The Guardian. 2027, Obi could be president under PDP, says Showumi. Top 5 Nigerian banks gross 7.3 or 17.3 trillion naira, grow profit by 60%. Top 5 Nigerian banks gross 17.3 trillion naira, grow profit by 60%. Muthwang digs into root of insecurity as Aliyah decries herder's siege. All the details you can find on The Guardian. And now to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch, Tinubu to meet service chiefs over rising killings. President returns from UK, France. Presidency blames governors for worsening insecurity. Protests in Jaws. UK records 22,000 Nigerian asylum seekers. Japa. Federal government targets ghost workers in fresh payroll audits. Electricity failures inflates manufacturers' generator bill to 1 trillion naira. Interesting. Tinubu world leaders mourn as Pope Francis dies at 88. I didn't interfere in Alafin's selection, says Makinde. Lagos launches probe as building collapse, deaths hits 7. Rivers Fubara's backers to go spiritual. And now to the Nigerian Tribune. World leaders, others pay tributes as Pope Francis dies at 88. He died from stroke or heart failure, says Vatican. his life and times from a bouncer to papacy, those who may succeed him. You can find the details on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Plateau Forest grazing reserves now occupied by bandits, says Mutfang. Jonathan regrets inability to end Nigeria's suffering, says commitment to peace remains unshaken. Grandson of popular Ondo musician Comfort Omoge killed by scavenger. Disquiet in APC over Tinubu's deal with Kwankwaso. Party chieftains click as against automatic ticket for new entrants. And now finally to the Daily Times. Bandits impose 16 million naira on 12 Zamfara communities. Indeed, bandits impose 60 million naira on 12 Zamfara communities. Khan leads protest in Jos over headsman killing of 150 villagers. Atiku, Abbas, Lawan, Kalu pay tribute as Pope Francis dies at 88. Okay, and now my comments on Norse. Your response is lazy. Baba Ahmed stamps on ENUGU. Nigerian Correctional Service denies bomb explosion in Maiduguri prison. Tension mounts in Delta over alleged murder of Governor Obovovori's aide. Tension mounts in Delta over alleged murder of Governor Obovovori's aide. All the details on the Daily Times newspaper. And now we're back to the studio. Chris Wanuka joins us for the interesting discourse as it relates to the headlines on our dailies this morning. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you.
Good morning, Charles. And good morning, the world. We're back here again by the grace of God. We are just coming back from the euphoria of Easter celebration. Yes, Charles. Here we are.
Indeed. Well, the Easter celebration just ended yesterday, and then just yesterday, the Pope passed on at the age of 88. I know he's been ill for some time now, and it was just that it was about time that he goes to meet his maker.
Yes, Pope Francis, may his soul rest in peace, has joined the Saint Triumphant. His death is significant because he died actively serving the Lord who called him to service. He gave his Easter homily and blessed the people through the papal window as usual, and then few hours later he was declared dead. And you know, from the little I read about how a pope is declared dead, once the pope remain inactive, there is a particular cardinal that will come and call Pope 3 times as he lay. He will call him Pope Francis. Pope Francis call him for the 3rd time. If he doesn't respond, he will be declared dead. And that's no post-mortem, nothing. There's nothing in there. The Pope dies after that. So the culture of the Vatican and of course the culture of papacy has been there for as long as we can remember. You know, the church traced papacy to the apostle of Christ, that's Peter, who is the head of apostles, and on the rock that Jesus built his ministry. So we are just saying that he died like a saint. And the few testimonials and what people have saying about him, that is a man of humility and has earned the name as Pope for the poor. There were a few radical things that he's tried to change or happen during his time. And you know, people will see this way, whenever things are happening on time, they're waiting for looking at the horse's mouth to say. So a lot of people were looking at Pope when the issue of LGBTQ came up, where they will say, and almost a lot of people went away with this, you know, different understanding that Pope Francis was supporting, you know, transgender and all the useless things that has, but he was also protecting the church. He was called to protect. Now, if you pursue all the sinners away from the church, so you come to church every day preaching to the saints, So that was the angle that Pope Francis was looking at the LGBTQ. Is like, if anybody, you are called to bless people, and somebody come and say, bless, you bless the person. What I didn't get him say, for instance, is to marry a man and woman at the altar of God, and he didn't say that, but he was like, if they are among the congregation, you shouldn't pursue them away. You can only, by preaching and talking to them, you win them over. Because Christ even himself said, I came for the sinners, not for the saints. So may his soul rest in peace, and may the angels of heaven, like I always say, sing him to sleep, because Pope Francis died as a saint. In fact, you know, it might not, the Vatican might not go through the, like if you ask me to say, might not go through the whole process of how to make people saint. And his life, he has the name of a saint, St. Francis, and then he died like one in active service, having just finished performing very crucial Christian function of Easter, which is very, 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 very critical in the Christian faith. Absolutely. And then laid down peacefully and died in sleep. Whatever happens later is just history. Just happened that Pope came, he saw, he conquered.
Indeed.
And there's little they say here, he rose from being a bouncer in a club to being a head of a church. Absolutely. One of the world's strong, biggest church, and headed a country, because Rome is Vatican is a country of its own, has own status of a country. So he is a fulfilled man. Indeed. He died at 88 in active service. He didn't even retire, like some people do. So what else can make someone a saint? Absolutely. May his soul rest in peace. That's all the tribute. Of course, the tribute continues. We still have to do so many things for Pope Francis on Signature Television. Absolutely.
We're going to talk about security and insecurity in Nigeria. Tinubu is to meet service chiefs. Now that he is back, we're hearing that he'd be on his way back to Nigeria today, tomorrow at most. So what kind of meeting do you think that these guys should be having? Because again, I really don't understand why governors would be, voted as, chief security officers of states, and then any little thing they cry to the federal government. I really don't understand that.
I mentioned that yesterday. Okay, you were not, we were discussing with Chigi when we were reviewing newspapers yesterday. And we are saying that it's totally wrong. And part of the confused situation in Nigeria is just that Nigeria want to take a leapfrog in growth. But we are not carrying ourselves along with policies and then actively doing it. Because we say we are states. States, a perfect federation. States have some level of autonomy to decide what they want to do. Find that in some countries of the world that operate the kind of parliamentary democracy we do, states decide, even in some states, some tariff differ, salaries differ, things, a lot of things, but here we do selective, because the power that Abuja holds is so absolute and so that absolute power is what they find difficult to relinquish. At this level of Nigeria, it would be an overstatement to say we need to deregulate powers actively to the states in Nigeria. We need to actively deregulate powers to the states. Let the states have state police, where it becomes, then with the federal government police as oversight function. When they need help, they call for it. And of course, there will be very clear. We are not inventing democracy or parliamentary democracy. In the world, let's look at, as blacksmiths that is learning how to make a metal gong. Let's look at the tail of a kite. And that's what has happened here. A lot of our Nigerian leaders travel abroad to where these democracies are well practiced or near well practiced. Why are they not replicating those good lessons they learned? Because when they go there, they fall in line. They will tell you that even they make bold to say some countries of the world are God's own country, where their own country become devil's own country. Why even we're expecting the president to come back, like you said, hoping we are just like all hopes that our father, the president, that's if everybody agrees that is our father, so that I don't have people who say, who told you? But I know that the president of Nigeria, holds that father status of being the father of the nation. Now, if he returns, he has been in France for 19 days. He would tell me how many stories of bandits shooting and killing people he had there, of kidnapping and killings he had in France, of things that are happening that are where non-state actors will cough and the whole nation will catch fire.
Is unfair? There's even saying that
there are the 60 million naira. Let have 12 communities, 5 million each, and that may be monthly. And so, how is federal government? And we say we have a nation, and they have territorial integrity. That's the kind of word that we hear.
But my worry is this current administration, before he took over power, while he was campaigning, he said that state police was important. In fact, all of the 3 candidates that went for that election said that state police is important. State police is important. I'm shocked that a few months into his administration, his IG of police came and said that state police is not visible and that it will be abused. Pointing hands towards the governors of the state that demand.
I say it, and I'll say it again, Charles. In Southwest, they already perfected state police. Why are they deceiving us? That's more. What is Amoteku? Did you see their parade? Where Governor Adeleke is taking salute? When you see their procession, when you see their guard of honor.
But is it a panacea to this? Because people have also argued that doing state police will not even solve the problem. Because even in the Southwest, we still have...
No, but you cannot compare the level of insecurity in other places where we don't have this with where you have Amoteku. So which one is better? But even at that, Amoteku is still hidden under that kind of vigilante thing. But it's operating as a full state police. Let them prove it otherwise. So why are they not encouraging other states to have even what to that level? Do you know that some communities are still living here talking? It's because of these local vigilantes they form. Yeah. So what's the difference? Some of them carry weapons. And they go to the extent of arresting criminals and handing over to police. And within them, arresting criminals and handing over to the police, you know, and I know, and the people watching know what happens. So what are we talking about? Why going through middleman? If you have a law, you catch criminals, what to do with them? Why catching them, handing them over, and then they hover until they disappear into history? Something is wrong, Charles. Why are we delaying it? Because the federal police we have, the National Assembly members, the presidency, and all the establishment are controlling them. They're using them for their own security. Then me and you are on our own. Whenever people are killed in Nigeria, only here, all those written statements that have been there since the days of good luck, they have carved these messages. The president is sympathize, condemn. Is that what we eat? And people are dying every day. Every day, they are releasing statement of condemning killings, condemning killings. Is that what was, as the condemning killings stopped it? Now there are certain communities who won't enter. Even if these people, because the criminals are still perfecting their, but then if you have some people who wake up every day and their duty is to mitigate those criminal activities, is it not better than staying off? The few police we have, our federal police, are guarding all the people we elected, or the camp we elected them, and they're in authorities. And me and you are just vulnerable. Every day Nigerians are dying. These communities are paying tribute, are paying every day. They will send 60 million to non-state actors. How much are they paying as tax to the government? Not that they pay this thing and they feel free to go to their farms to produce food for the ones who are contributing money to pay these things. Then they have perfected what they call hunger terrorism. Nigeria is heading for until, so you're asking me the agenda of likely things that the president will hold with the state. If these things are not coming up and they're not feeling the way, of course they may not feel the same way. If the general officer commanding or whatever, the chief of army staff, have you seen his motorcade? Even going to Aso Rock, he will still go with the same kind of motorcade. Have you seen the IGP with his motorcade? So why wouldn't they relax and drink tea and speak English over life of Nigerians? And we come here claiming we are over 200 million. It is no more because they have reduced. That's another way they used to reduce the population. If you do actual count of real Nigerians, I don't think we are almost that again. Because terrorism has nibbled into our population and killed people, and we know it. It's not like anybody is talking. We are just saying, let something be done. We are not blaming anybody. If we live in a time where we have terror and banditry, it's the job of the government of that time to take care of that, because you cannot accept to be a leader and decide what you can handle. At any time you become find yourself a leader, whatever happened at that time becomes a responsibility. That's all we ask. It's not asking for too much. Let there be decisive action, because all the people have lost interest. Mof Wang, the governor of Plateau State, grazing reserves now occupied by bandits. This is what we're hearing. Governor of the state, who is chief security officer. So if Mof Wang asks me, who I will ask? If like what question he asks, meaning he's just there as crying baby. There's highly constitutionally limited powers to what he can do, and he answered the name of chief security officer.
But the presidency said that they should go and solve the problem.
That is an irony. You don't solve problem. It was you that asked me. People say go defend yourself with what? It's easy to say. So my neighbor is fighting me. Charles, come complain to me. He said, "Go, Charles, go solve your problem." Is that enough encouragement? I've asked you to go solve your problem. Yes, it means I've given up on you. That's it. It means the president has given up on Rivers State and Benue State, and that means it can be every slave that sees where a fellow slave is buried. I use that analogy. You know that's how it's going to look during your own day. So other state governors are seeing. But now there's something interesting that says here that the presidency is blaming the governors for high state officers.
Yes.
But since this thing started happening, how many governors have you had say anything on insecurity? Make national statement in the papers. Have you had? Since the last 1 year. I've not had any state, especially when they start attacking your state. Like if you didn't get to this level of the Plateau and Benue, you only hear governor mourns, governor condemns. That's how they do. But now he got into a point where he's not just condemning, he's crying. So from crying, the person you are looking up to start crying. What happens to you that is at the lowest ebb of it? What happens? So we still know that the federal government must, since they've owned up and taken over all security apparatus of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and not giving any power to the, or even the empowerment, not just the power, empowerment. How many of the state governors control the armory? And where are the armories? What are they? What do some of the governors not even know what you call AK-47? They've not seen one. They only see their well-starched mopos carrying guns. They don't even know what they're carrying to guard them. Some of the governors do not have power over the police that guard them in the government houses because they don't take command from them. They can only say, "Oga." But when the chiefs are down, the order comes from above, and then you are just living on borrowed robes. The sooner, the better, because anything, the way it is going.
But again, do you think that these two governors that have been screaming, if this killing, continues, the presidency should consider announcing a state of emergency?
I don't tell the government what they do. After all, when they announced state of emergency in Rivers State, it wasn't me that told them. Now, if the state government, from the point, what we are seeing, the confidence we are giving them, unless the federal government suddenly woke up and start crying like the state governors, the few that have been attacked, if they now say, we are handicapped, we don't know what they let every man, so like some of them have started crying and asked everyone, go and sort yourself out. Then, at that point, it should be made clear that states should have their police. So if we come back here and form our own police, they know how to recruit people and then set everybody to the bushes. Let's fight this war and fight it once and for all. When we come back, we now know whether after fighting the enemies, we come back and fight ourselves. Whatever happened, nothing. But let us sort that rat that is in the bush, that is eating up everything, and they're coming very close home, because the rat at home has told them that there's a bush, there's a rat meat over the fire. This is the issue of Nigeria, and that is a good analogy. Until we do that, if you have a sickness, they say they will do perform a procedure, a surgical procedure, and it will tell you, doctor will tell you it's 50-50. So the choice you have is, do I stay with this sickness to die, or do I take the risk of taking through the surgery 50-50? If I survive, thank God. If I go, I'll die, be die. That is where Nigeria has got into. Because all these talk. And what pains me, there should be a time that the decentralized National Assembly, let all of them come back to their states. Some of them are from my villages. They should live in with us and visit Abuja and go and attend the parliamentary meetings and come back. This idea of providing everything for the state in Abuja doesn't make them see the problem in their localities. Living on borrowed, everything federal government is, we are paying for their houses, paying for their salaries, allowances, pay for their newspaper, pay for the seat they sit, pay for their children's school fees, pay for their wives, pay for their toll gates. To tolls they pay. They sit back in Abuja talking, and they don't know we are dying in the villages. And we say we are one Nigeria. Very soon they will come back asking for vote with this same federal government providing the police to come for campaign and go back to Abuja. If they don't feel what we are feeling, they won't do what they are supposed to do. They won't even cry the way I'm crying. We are now seeing it as insensitivity. Because if you look at where they are in the National Assembly, you will see that how relaxed they are and how they crack jokes over even issues of security. They're not taking it serious, and they're not convinced me they're taking anything serious. And that is where, if you do not dance up Bangi Ichida, there's a town in my place, they call it Ichida. They do a masquerade, they call it Anga. If you don't dance up Bangi Ichida, like you are mad, nobody will know you are dancing up Bangi Ichida. The issue of insecurity in Nigeria has gotten to the point, everybody, every right-thinking Nigeria should dance it like Anga Ichida, so that we make impression. Otherwise, we'll be laughing and we miss it like a useless village that the people are missing one by one. They are laughing. That they are discussing and laughing. They all finish. Before they know it, they have no left and 5 persons left. That's when they realize they're asking for, where is Okoye? Where is Nwoke? Hey, where is Nwankwo? They now find out they've all. That's when they start on, and at that point it was late. The way this security is going in Nigeria, it will get to a point. 12 communities paying rent, which they didn't, is not all. The ones that were not reported, people paying non-state actors. Because this is high. If you go and gather one vulnerable village, and they're getting you 60 million every month, what other business do you need to do in Nigeria? Which other business, even if you own a bank, banks don't make that amount in a month. And that's what few people gather and then we sit here, we're talking, and the federal government doesn't. The same people, after paying this one, they will still, the state government will want to be paid. The federal government will want to be paid by the same set of people. That's killing. Charles, with this, I don't know. But each time I want to, not to spoil my day, Charles, you come with issues to spoil my day. God bless Nigeria. What else can we do?
God bless Nigeria indeed. Anyways, we are back after this to discuss further on some topical issues we are following for you. The death of the very humble Pope Francis, and of course all other issues as it relates to the polity. We're back after this. Just stay with us.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
For many in ENUGU, Easter is a time of reflection, renewal, and rejoicing. Nigeria's harsh economic realities have significantly impacted Easter celebrations. While some scaled back celebrations due to financial constraints, the essence of the occasion remains steadfast. A resident, Juliet Obonna, noted that Easter fosters spiritual discipline beyond mere festivity.
Actually, during the period, a lot was on my neck because I didn't participate fully, but spiritually I was involved, but physically I was not fully involved because of work and the rest. So, but I'm happy that today I was able to be here. We prepared both spiritually, somehow financially, food as well. So, enough to marry.
Rising cost of living, transportation and goods have forced many to prioritize essential expenses over festive spending. Some even cancel travel plans due to exorbitant airfares and transportation costs.
Everybody knows that things are very hard now. The rise in the market windows the costs. But we were able to afford. I was able to afford little for my family.
I know that the economy is too hard now, but no matter what, we are going to celebrate Easter and eat and drink as much as we want.
At St. John's Catholic Parish, Easter festivities gained added significance with the sacrament of confirmation administered to new converts. Children who had prepared for their first Holy Communion also received Jesus in the Eucharist for the first time, marking a pivotal moment in their faith journey as they were welcomed into full communion with the Catholic Church.
The vice chairman of the parish pastoral council, we did everything that we are supposed to do to make sure that all the members of the parish participate one way or the other in activities of Easter, especially those who receive their first Holy Communion. Someone received baptism, sacrament of baptism, and confirmation at the same time. So all this we did to achieve this Easter.
I felt happy at the cemetery. I went to the series of had a hard work and but I still passed and I'll be happy to see what I'm doing.
Better on, she now told me that she passed. We started, even yesterday, I was still moving around the market to know if I can get what she will use, like her tie. It was not easy. This morning they started again that, Thanksgiving is today, how are we going to do it? We started moving around to look for something that they will use to do it. But all I know is that after much more, I feel blessed. I am very, very excited and I feel blessed for her to be one of them.
Easter celebrations across churches and communities in Enugu were marked by enthusiasm and devotion, underscoring the importance of community faith and spiritual rejuvenation in the face of adversity. In Enugu, Chinemerem Ikebunam for Signature TV News.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Rivers women are on the streets of Port Harcourt again, demanding the restoration of democracy in the state, tagged Bring Back Fubara. The women carrying various placards were chanting, "We voted for a governor, not a sole administrator," calling for a return of the suspended Governor Fubara and the redeployment of Rivers State Commissioner of Police. The protest is coming on the heels of last week's women's demonstration in favor of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who was suspended by Tinubu owing to the political crisis in the state. Last month, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State owing to the unending political crisis in the state, suspending Governor Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, and the members of the House of Assembly for 6 months. But the women are alleging that nearly 1 month after assuming control, rather than fostering reconciliation among the political stakeholders, the administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibas, has deepened the divide. His actions of dismantling democratic institutions and orchestrating policies aimed at achieving political domination serve only the interests of those who appointed him.
So since they removed our governor, things not they move forward again. Everything just they stagnant. No business at all because no money.
Since when this governor come, I free fine. I dey feed my children, my grandchildren them. I dey plait my head. People they come now. Nothing I dey plait again. My God,
we just woke up one morning and state of emergency is being declared. We don't know the purpose, why there is state of emergency, and we were told that there is war in our state. And we are saying that we never had any problem in Rivers State. Rivers State is a peaceful state. We the youth were going about doing our normal business.
They insist that the continuous actions of the imposed sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, have clearly exposed the ulterior and politically motivated intentions behind this so-called emergency rule.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara must be returned back to his elected position. Even the president made that clear by his statement that he is coming back, and we believe he is coming back. The concern I personally have is that when is he coming back? You cannot bring him back when you have installed 27 people that are against him in the State Assembly. When you have installed local government chairmen illegally. We must not forget that the police commissioner today was the same police commissioner when in 2023, in October 2023, when Siminalayi Fubara was attacked with hot water and tear gas was shot at him.
Even at the height of provocation, you can see the place is still peaceful. Nobody's fighting. Even at the height of provocation. How is it that it is only in Rivers State that you suspended democracy? It's an affront on democracy. It is a slap on our faces. It is telling us that we do not matter in the Committee of States of Nigeria. What are you saying to us? And we know that our president is somebody who stands for democracy. So we can't understand this. We can't understand it. It is something that is shocking. It is something that is unbelievable. It is something that is unacceptable.
We therefore demand the following without equivocation. 1, the immediate removal of the Rivers State Commissioner of Police. Yes. CP Olubenga Adepoju. 2, an urgent and total end to the illegal state of emergency imposed on Rivers State. Yes. 3, the full restoration of all democratic institutions, including the restatement of the duly elected governor Amo Pusanebo, Sa Seminala Ifobara. Yes. 4. The redeployment of military personnel to regions where they are truly needed, Finally, we call on the international community to take a firm stand to intervene diplomatically and to prevail on the Nigerian government to restore democracy and protect the rights and dignity of the people of Rivers State. Yes. Our people deserve peace, yes, justice, yes, and the freedom, yes, to thrive in a truly democratic society. Yes.
Vice Admiral Ibas reportedly sponsored a counter-protest, hiring thugs to masquerade as Rivers women in support of the illegal state of emergency, an act that was protected by the same police commissioner who had allegedly dispersed the protest by the pro-Fubara women from peacefully demonstrating. The governors of the main opposition, People's Democratic Party (PDP), had earlier rejected the declaration and have headed to the courts to challenge the imposition.
He devoted most of his life, the last part of his life, from 2013 up until yesterday, to the development of humans and, of course, leading the church. And today we're going to be talking about his life while he led the church. Apparently, some persons were actually going back to some of the things that he did even while he was not, a pontiff. He was once a bouncer, but God arrested him at some point in his life, and he led one of the biggest churches in the world. The death of Pope Francis and the end of another era. We have with us live in the studio Reverend Father Ambrose Okuchukwu Fodile. Is the President, Director, Radio Maria Nigeria, ENUGU States. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here again.
So, the world is mourning. Global leaders have spoken much about him. Of course, we know that death is one of the penalties that everyone would pay at the end of the day. As a matter of fact, what happens after the death of man is apparently what we see as his legacies. What for you would you say is the legacies of Pope Francis?
Thank you very much. To start with, we talk about the death of Pope Francis. I can render this in Igbo. No, he died a good death, because at the point where we are celebrating the Paschal mystery, the resurrection of Christ, he came out in his Ubi et Orbe, blessing to the city and blessing to the world on Sunday, and after that on Monday 7:35 a.m. he died, and showing us that there is a link between death and resurrection. And during this period we talk about the necessity of Good Friday for us to have Easter Sunday, and the Pope participated in all, and then finally at the resurrection of Jesus he also resurrected with him. And that's our concept of death. Death is a transition, a movement to another realm. So it's a continuation. If you live the good life, you will be anticipating. This Pope Francis actually anticipated his death, because already in 2022 he had already written how he will be buried. 2022, can imagine that. So you see somebody who is prepared for that, and he's a man who has left a lot of legacies for us. Of course, you have to know that his name, George Mario Bergoglio, born on 17th December 1936. He is the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, and the Pope of over 1 billion Catholics. And he's a man noted for his compassion for the weak, love for immigrants and refugees. He's a man who will go all out to look after those who are at the margins of the society. And this is a man who in his lifetime showcased his love for creation. In one of his encyclicals, Laudato Si, he talked about care for creation, care for the environment, fostering love for things around. It's not surprising, because he took up the name of St. Francis of Assisi. And of course, Francis loved nature, And in the manner of St. Francis, Pope Francis also, loved nature and tried to advocate for protection of the environment and creation. So we see in this man a man who has left everything to follow Jesus Christ. And even in his ill health, you see him, he traveled to over 68 countries in his papacy, demonstrating his love for humanity, trying to touch every fabric of the society, trying to show that the love of Jesus Christ does not have limits. He goes on to show this love in his life. So we could learn humility also. This is a pope who, a pope is supposed to be wearing a red shoe. But he said, no, I don't want any pomp and pageantry about the pope. I want to wear my black shoe. And he continued. He's supposed to live in a palace, a pope's palace. He said, no, I'm going to live in this apartment. You see, simplicity. This is someone who knew what he came for. And then he tried in his life to showcase this, trying to speak, to advocate for justice all over the world. He had tried, wherever you have warring countries, those who are at war, you see him going in to advocate for peace, trying a reconciliation. So this is the legacy he left behind, and I hope that he will, or the person coming after him will also follow in his footsteps. Because of course we are entering into the processes of electing a new pope in the Catholic Church. We have this tradition of we don't waste time in burying a pope because everything is ready, and it's also a lesson to the society. Yeah, if you understand the concept of death, that death is a movement to another realm, you will be prepared at all times, and the Pope was prepared actually.
We understand that there's an African who is also vying for the position of the Pope. Talk us through how it works with, taking the next step as to who takes over from.
Okay, if a Pope dies, there is someone we call the Papa Chamberlain, Camerlengo. He was appointed by Pope Francis in 2019. And he's the one who takes over in this period of sede vacante. That is, the seat is empty. The Pope is not there. We don't have a Pope, but we have someone who takes care of affairs. He is the one who will announce the death of the Pope, actually. Because yesterday, Cardinal Kevin Farrell had to announce to the people, because when a Pope dies, the Camerlengo approaches the remains of the Pope, and you call his baptismal name 3 times. After which, if you did not respond, he will be declared, he will announce that he had died. And that was what happened before the announcement. So he will now talk to those who are around, then announce that the Pope had died at 7:35 a.m. on Monday morning. And he will now take over the affairs. He's now the person in charge, preparing the burial and then also preparing for the conclave. So now at present, what we have is that we are preparing for the burial. Within 4 to 6 days, the Pope will be buried. And within 15 days, the cardinals all over the world will be called from all over, wherever they are, to come to the Sistine Chapel. In that Sistine Chapel, they will be under lock and key in a gathering we call the conclave. That is the gathering of cardinals to elect a pope. Presently we have over 252 cardinals, and 138 are eligible for election. And amongst those who are, of course, we have 4 cardinals in Nigeria. We have Francis Cardinal Arinze, we have Anthony Cardinal Okojie, we have Peter Cardinal Obaleke, we have Cardinal Onayenkon. These are 4 cardinals. But out of these 4, only 1 is eligible, and the eligibility age is 80 years. So if you are above 80, you are not going to participate in the election. So out of the 240 or 252 cardinals, 138, and only 120 will be going into the Sistine Chapel to elect a pope. And so those who are actually under 80 years, so the limit is 120, they will go in there. And when they go in there, this argument or this politics about let us have an African pope. But we had an African pope before. We had 3 African popes. Pope Victor was one of them. So just that in recent times we have not had an African pope. But it also says something about picking up the ethnic regional sentiments of leadership we picked from the Nigerian state or wherever, and we are bringing it into the church. The church is not like that. So when the cardinals are assembled in the in the Sistine Chapel. They will start with a Holy Mass, the Mass of the Holy Spirit, to direct them to elect a new Pope. So votings will be done 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And they will be under lock and key, away from the distractions of the media, of people. So all of them will just be there. They'll be praying and doing the election. 2 in the morning. So until they elect a Pope, they are not allowed to come out. So there is this iconic smoke that will always come out. You know, they will produce if they do and conduct an election and they didn't come to a 2-thirds majority, they will, because people are around waiting to look at the chimney to see when they will show them that we have a Pope. Once you have a white smoke, then you have a Pope. But once you have a black smoke, it means they have not come to a 2-thirds majority. So they will be there for some time during the election, morning and afternoon, until they come to a 2-thirds majority. And so when somebody, you know, so in this case now, it's not just about, are you African or are you Asian or are you American? No, it's about if one, the work of the Holy Spirit; 2, the cardinals who are assembled, who are eligible for election, will elect you into being the Pope, the Roman Pontiff. So once you are elected, they will ask you, are you willing to take up the responsibility? If you say no, another election will be conducted. So if you say yes, the cardinal deacon will now come out and proclaim, Habemus Papam. We have a Pope. And people will rejoice. And there will be the white smoke showing that we have a Pope. And then the Pope will take a name. You know, of course, you know that the present, in the time of Pope John Paul II, his name was Karol Wojtyla. Now, in the time of Pope Francis, his name was George Mario Bergoglio. You know, so you take a name. And so when we say we have Habemus Papam, you come out, people will see you, and then people will rejoice.
Why do you have to take a name?
You take a name because it is the tradition. Okay. A name of a person you want to look up to.
Okay.
You are assuming the vicar of Christ on earth, the first Pope. The Pope, you are assuming the vicar of Christ on earth. You are representing Christ. You are the Holy Father. Okay? So there is also the aspect of the infallibility of the Pope in matters that concerns doctrines. The Pope speaks ex cathedra. The Pope will always, in matters that concerns his personal relationship with people, he can err. But then in matters that concerns faith, he proclaims ex cathedra. That's matters of faith. Okay, so so the processes are devoid of what you could call the intrigues of politics we have around, but we have a system that guarantees free and fair election. And this is a lesson also to world leaders. They should allow the Holy Spirit to help them to elect good leaders who can lead them. Okay, so there is no campaigning. Of course, I didn't say this during the announcement of the death of the Pope. The Camerlengo, that is the Papa Chamberlain, will remove the ring of the bishop. It's called the fisherman's ring. He will destroy it in the presence of the cardinals because it's the authority of the Pope. So that's why your caption this morning is very important and is very admirable. The end of another era. So an era ends and then a new one begins. A new Pope comes in with another insignia of the Pope. So it's very remarkable. And it's very interesting if we follow through the processes of the election of the Pope, because people will be at the Vatican, you know, watching what is happening, and, you know, people giving their analysis about what happens. But of course, no media will be allowed inside because it's strictly for the cardinals to elect a Pope.
So when the new Pope comes, does it come with a totally different doctrine, or sticking to the doctrine of the Catholic Church? Because we've seen a little bit of shift from what the doctrine has been with what Francis did.
Pope Francis didn't shift the doctrine. What he did was to make it more accommodating. More accommodating, not a change.
But it's a shift a little bit.
You can't call it a shift, because if you say a shift, it may mean that you are going against the traditions. Let me give you an instance. During the Second Vatican Council, there was what we call aggiornamento. The doors of the church were opened so that what we call our culture could also come into the liturgy. For instance, before Second Vatican Council, the use of local instruments was not allowed in the church. Latin was the language of the Mass. But with this adjournment, with this Second Vatican Council, the church gave opportunity for local languages to be used in the Mass. To use local instruments also in the Mass. And a lot of the church becomes the church, the lay faithful become not just spectators in the liturgy, but because they become participants in the liturgy. So Pope Francis came trying to, give opportunity for people to be more accommodated. For instance, talking about divorcees. Absolutely. Who are outside the communion. He tried to bring them in. People who are gay, he wanted to say, I'm so compassionate about this, even though he was misunderstood at that time. I see these people are out of the sacraments and they have a desire to come into the sacraments. What are we going to do for them? Can we just allow them to be receiving Holy Communion? He was just trying to be compassionate. Not that he was trying to have a change. He was just trying to accommodate these people who are sincere. They want to come back to God, but their living conditions, their status, make them not close to the sacrament. So he wanted to, okay, come in, let us give you a space here.
But how did that impact on Catholics in Africa specifically?
For instance, in Africa, already it's a no-go area. We don't accept that. You understand? Yeah. So, but that's why we cried out. So, no, we're not going to allow them. We're not going to. So, let them go. It's a sinful situation. But he did it out of his compassion. Oh, I love these people, but I don't like their sins. And that was what Jesus would do. Oh, I love you, but I don't like your sin. Okay, so but he tried to do that and he was misunderstood and people said a lot of things. A man of humility, he didn't hold on to it. He tried to, okay, let's see. So, and that's how a leader should do. When you come up with things that, your people are not comfortable with, you don't just force it on them. You allow them, give them opportunity. Many churches all over the world clamped on it. We don't like it. I said, okay, but I'm doing it out of not that I am one of them, but I just want to show them compassion. I just want to say, okay, let them receive Holy Communion so that they can be transformed. You understand? So, he was a Pope of mercy. A Pope of mercy. He was so merciful. That's why people said he was so merciful to a fault. So, but we understand now why he was doing these things. His background. Very important. Sometimes you don't forget your background. He knew where he was coming from. He came from a place where people looked down upon. Of course, his parents were migrants. Yeah. So he wanted to, bring in people so that people will also experience the love of God. That was his mission, and he tried to live it out. And thanks to God, he took him at an appropriate time.
So speaking of background, do you think that the background of every single pope affected the way and manner that they run the Vatican?
To an extent, because you can't bring everything about your background into the church governance. You try to, because of the experiences and the lessons you have taken from your background, you can bring it in to have, for instance, he had so much compassion for migrants because he knew what his parents went through. He must have heard stories of migrants. So that was why he was advocating for refugees, for migrants, trying to bring in people and, trying to, his government or his papacy was that of inclusivity. He tried to include everybody. They are human beings. Don't chase them away from your country. Remember that we are all migrants, he would say. So in Pope Francis, we saw a man who was open to the Holy Spirit. And he allowed God to lead him. And that was the kernel of the success of his papacy. And we pray that the next Pope also, takes up from where he stopped.
Right. I mean, you spoke about his openness. And some persons feel that his openness actually helped to modernize the church. They sounded like it's a progressive papacy. But then it does look like it's alienated the traditional Catholics who were angry with his moves and his openness, his too much openness. Do you think the next Pope would learn from what he has done and try to balance it out, or maybe go back to the traditional ways, not being too open, you know, and then open it up to, you know, world criticism. You know, I understand, you know, how that went with African countries, and even countries in South America saying that, no, this is not what we actually wanted.
The reason why the Catholic Church is still the Catholic Church is because of traditions, orthodoxy. And we don't have apologies for that. And that's why the church is still standing. If the church have been swimming in the ocean of influences, would have been more like one of these churches. But because we have traditions and we try to follow these traditions. For instance, if you look at the life of Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, you will notice that he has a similar attitude with Pope Francis. Pope John Paul II, each country will arrive, he will first of all kiss the earth. He was traveling. In fact, he was the most traveled pope in history. He even came to Nigeria, I think twice. Okay, he was trying to show people, trying to bring in people, so if you are doing this, it is because a little bit of your background. You know, the background of Karol Wojtyła, Saint Pope John Paul II. And so, yeah, you could say Pope Francis, you can't say he was a progressive, you can't say he was a strict conservative, but he tried to hold on to the traditions of the church and tried to also put in human face to the rigid nature of the church. How can we view this? How can we apply human compassion to this? So that's why people saw him as someone who tried to move the church, you know, that he's too fast. You know, people weren't happy. Some weren't happy with him, of course. But then he knew what he was doing, because he was trying to bring the church to come close to what people are experiencing. You know, Pope Benedict XVI, late, was so strict. Not so strict, but he protected the orthodoxy of the church. He was a theologian, so he held on to the theology of the church, and he was trying everything possible to make sure that we do not deviate. And that was why his papacy, we didn't have much. But then this Pope Francis, tried to accommodate people. And in accommodating the people, sometimes you could slip away from the principles and traditions, and then you will come back. That's why the cardinals are there, to tell you, oh, Pope, you are moving away a bit. Can we just move on with the traditions of the church? But I also suspect that the next Pope will also be a conservative. Try to hold on to the church. You know, there are some matters you don't have to put any sentiments into. That's the Pope, out of his compassion, wanted everybody to, let us accommodate everybody. You know, but sometimes there are situations you don't accommodate. You just have to talk to them to change their lifestyle so that they can come into the church. You cannot follow them in their lifestyle, because some of these lifestyles are against what we preach. They are against the gospel even. Okay, so that's why it's very important that we look at his life as that of compassion. He had so much compassion for people, just like Jesus.
So going forward, what kind of pope should we be expecting, given where we are right now in the world? We know what he has done in terms of calling for peace across the world, helping humanity, and also being open, and the compassion that he has with people. He hated the sin, he loved the people, not condemning anyone outrightly. But as it stands, going forward with the world that we are right now, what kind of pope would we need, you know, in times like this?
Yeah, I'm not a cardinal. I cannot say the kind of pope we need, but I know that the cardinals, they know what the church needs at this point. The church will need someone to continue the legacies of Pope Francis. You know, this is about unbroken succession of popes from St. Peter. This is the 266th pope. So the next one should be the 267th pope. Okay, so in an unbroken succession of popes, they know what the church needs. The world is full of hatred presently. a lot of strife, disagreements. People want to live their lives in the society today. People don't want anything that's why it seems like the church is so rigid, because people want to do things the way they want. So if the church is saying we have traditions, we have principles, they say no, I want to live my life the way I want. That's what the modern man wants. The modern man does not want any rules. They want to just be moving. Don't give me any rule. But the church continues to stand. We have a rule. So the next pope, I should think about, okay, this is the society. We're going to follow this society. We're going to guide this society. The society should not guide the church. Because if the society guides the church, they may lead the church astray. So that's why the church must always follow the society and tell the society, see, this is where we are going. The climax of everything is about love. So the next pope should be a man of love, a man of peace, a man who will always advocate for peace, a man who will always give opportunities for people to participate. Look at Pope Francis created 110 cardinals out of the 240 cardinals already we have. So, and in creating these cardinals, he looked at Africa, he looked at Asia, he looked at Latin America. So you cannot say, when are we going to have an African pope? If an African emerges, then we have an African pope. So it's not about putting politics. Okay, all the cardinals want to tell you, elect an African. No. That's not how it goes. The cardinals will know, they know themselves. They know who can take the church. Because all of us, we have this mindset about where the church should be. So the cardinals also understand this. So they know who can take us there. And you're a pope, you are not alone. The cardinals are there to assist you, to give you pieces of advice. And you cannot say, I'm not taking your advice. So that's why the church is the church.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The church, continues in the manner of Christ. And the Bible says the gates of the underworld can never prevail against the church. So that's why they do. Over 2,000 years, can you imagine? This is the oldest institution all over the world. For over 2,000 years, a succession of popes, unbroken. There are instances where you have challenges and problems, but then we continued in that line. So the next pope should be a man of love, a man who loves the church, and a man who loves the traditions of the church, a man who wants to bring Christians all over the world together to follow Jesus Christ yet.
Right. To what extent do you think that he pushed for gender equality within the church? He was so much hesitant to ordinate, have this ordination for women.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, he wasn't hesitant. He was following traditions.
That's a tradition of the church?
Yeah, and that of Jesus Christ, who did not ordain women as apostles. Okay, so, and like I told you, he may have his own compassion. Of course, he broached the topic, but he had cardinal advisors. He had people who told him, see, we cannot go away from this. Of course, this topic has been occurring before many popes. And at each point in time, they will also want to respond to it. But Pope Francis went a little bit far by also including them in the administration of the church, not as priests, not as bishops, but in their states. Of course, because you can also be a church leader in your state, even as a layperson. He allowed the nuns, the sisters, to also participate in the governance of the church. So it's also an inclusion. You cannot say he wasn't gender sensitive. He was gender sensitive. That's why he allowed women to also participate. Okay, so you cannot outrightly say he's not gender sensitive. He was gender sensitive, but then there are, like I said, there are places you don't go, and this is the core that Christ appointed 12 men. There were women who were helping Jesus according to the Gospel of Luke chapter 8, but then they were not apostles, core apostles. They were disciples. The apostles were the core 12, the inner carcass of Jesus' ministry. And he worked closely with them. But there were also women, people like Mary Magdalene, people like the Mother of God, Blessed Virgin Mary, people like Salome, mother of John and James. They were there providing for him. They were his disciples, but they were not the core 12. But then you see, during this resurrection, it's very important that we understand this. Jesus was not against women. His ministry included women, but not as core apostles. That was why he allowed the woman to be the first to see him after his resurrection. So if he did not include women, because you have this attack against Jesus that he did not include women in his ministry, he included them because Mary Magdalene became an apostle of the apostles, because she was the one who went to the apostles and told them he has risen. Yes. And they all ran to the tomb. So in essence, she was part of his ministry, but not as a core 12. So Pope Francis also demonstrated that he included women, but not as priests, not as bishops, as Christ would do. So, you know, when we talk about traditions, we don't just say the creation of man. We say tradition is also the things from the Holy Bible, and then with current events, we measure them together, they become traditions. Traditions are not devoid of biblical truths. So traditions are also biblical truths with contemporary issues. So Pope Francis was gender sensitive. He allowed women in the governance of the church, not as apostles, not like priests, but then as their state would give them leave.
Do you think that women should be included as apostles?
Well, this is also the part where we have to be very careful not to do what Jesus did not do. So if you ask me, I will tell you that women are also part and parcel of the apostolic band. They participate in their capacity. Luke chapter 8 verse 2 says that they were there helping Jesus, providing for him. So what other participation do we now need? We need women ordination? No, we don't need it. Women are comfortable being sisters. They are helping. They are doing a lot of work. I'm working with them presently. You see the enormous work they are doing for the church. So they are also part of the disciples. Okay. But it's not about being gender insensitive. It's about what did Jesus do? Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to say a very big thank you, Reverend Father Ambrose Okuchukwu Ofodile. Is a priest and director, Radio Maria Nigeria, ENUGU. Thank you for your insights. It's been one amazing discussion.
Thank you very much.
We truly love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We're back after this short break. Do stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. This is still the morning show here on Signature TV. It's 9:30 from wherever you're watching us from. Many thanks for being part of it. We are on SLTV channel 265. So if you want to watch there and tell your friends to tell others that you can catch up on that. We are live also on YouTube 247. All right. So today we are building up to the 2027 general elections. So we're just less than 2 years to that. Elections will be sometime in February 2027, and by this time next year, I'm sure that most of our political parties must have known who their flag bearers would be for the 2027 presidential election. Yeah, it is that close, just in case you don't know. It is that close. So today we're going to be speaking on the coalition of political parties in Nigeria and its effectiveness over time. Honorable Frank Anyoma is with us. He's a special advisor on political matters and local government administration's experts. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
My pleasure. Good morning. And welcome, viewers.
You know, every turn of elections, when elections come, we speak of coalition to beat the incumbent. 2014, speak of coalition to beat coalition. 2019 to beat the incumbent. Coalition. And sometimes this coalition is just on the pages of papers. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Do you think that this talk about coalition just in some way watered down the strength of opposition in the country?
Well, thank you. Coalition in itself is coming together of groups or individuals for a particular personal purpose. And politically, it is always the goal is to wrestle power from the particular political party that is in governance. So the coming together is part of the political programming. So like your question, it has helped. It doesn't weaken the political parties. Rather, it helps to give them more strength. Because when you check the only coalition that I know that have been able to work in Nigeria to that ousted the sitting president, you find out that those political parties, the three major political parties that come together, have been running for the presidency over years, and then without making much impact. But when they were able to come together to form that coalition that formed the party in power, and I'm talking about the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, CPC, Congress of Progressive Change, and then ANPP, All Nigerian People's Party. Then the breakaways from APGA, and when the PDP had its own problem, and some of the governors and leaders equally joined to form that coalition. So it became a more stronger political party, so to say, though, because the interest is to restore power, and politics is about interest. Not mind that when the power has been restored from the sitting government, I think they start having issues in trying to share whatever is the outcome. So I don't think the coalition weakens political party. I think it gives more strength to the parties.
Right. In the context of the fact that political parties can no longer stand on their own to win an election, doesn't it weaken it? Because by saying coalition, you have just accepted that you are not strong enough on your own to go the whole hog. So in that context, do you think it weakens you have accepted as a political party that you don't have the strength to go the whole hog?
Yes. In that context, yes. Because once you start asking for assistance, asking for a helping hand, it means you can't do it alone. And then in Nigeria, except when we had that that party like PDP at the inception, that was the nook and cranny of this country. They had all the strength, but along the line, out of the people, how do they call it? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. When we started lacking the internal democracy in the party, when impunity came into the party, and those on the authority can now decide to do whatever they want to do without carrying the party people along, and that affected the fortunes of the party. That brought discontent into the party, and people start feeling alienated from what it should be. So in that case, yes, it shows the weakness of the political parties, because, for instance, of late, the PDP is still saying they are not yet open for any coalition or formation. They still want to try and see what they can do to pick their pieces back and then fight on.
Well, Simbala Mohammed, when Peter Obi visited him in Bauchi State, he said that he wouldn't mind working with Peter Obi. then all of a sudden, a few weeks after, he's saying something else. Maybe something may have happened. You know, these politicians can say one thing today and then tomorrow.
Politics is dynamic, and then, like you said, Bala made his personal choice, his personal statement that he would wish to. He never said PDP will work for. He spoke for himself that he would wish to work with him. And then when he now met with the leaders, the PDP governors, I wasn't there, so I don't know what may have discussed. So the next statement represented a party position, which is bigger than his own personal ambition or program.
Right. The coalition, because of what has happened in 2014, that's happened in such a way that it won the election in 2015. After that, there hasn't been any mega coalition up until now. So the dynamic, people say, is different. What it was in 2014 is not the same thing right now, and it's quite difficult to put that into context as to how this coalition would work. Would it be all of these political parties, collapsing their structures into one new party, or would it be that these political parties collapsing their structures into an existing party, which would be also another difficult thing? And then, because of the experience of the APC coming from these 4 different parties and where we are right now, people are also scared that let's not go and do another coalition that will get us worse than where we are now. So I don't know, is this a dynamic that you feel that Nigerians would look forward to or would jettison?
Well, like I said, the primary aim of politicians or political parties is to get into government. So what you said is, I really don't know, because I must tell you, I am not in the discussion. But what you're saying is the correct thing. They are still going to do, I don't know how they are going to do it. Moving into an existing political party might be difficult, because there must be existing people there. Accepting the conditions that they might have there might be difficult for them. So just like the APC was able to move in, because at the end of the day, they jettisoned all the people that came. And this is a new wine in an old cup. And then they ran with it. It made sense. So this new coalition, we are still watching and going to see how it can really gather the momentum that can drive Nigerians, that can so something that can be sellable, the Nigerians can have a buy into. So until we see that movement that can really appeal to Nigerians, other political parties, individuals, there are people that are still sitting on the fence watching to see how this will going to pan out. So if the coalition moves in such a way that is appealing, that it can attract the youths of the country and so on, something that might be resemblance of the P2B wave, then that's when we might take them serious. But for now, the political gladiators are just gathering, doing the permutation, and we are yet to really know where it will end.
Some people who have mounted this coalition have been people who are the same drivers of 2014. And some Nigerians are worried that, these are the same people who brought us here. Why should we bother about them doing another coalition, having not wrestled us out of the ones that they brought us from? The likes of Atiku, the likes of El-Rufai, these are the same people who did the coalition in 2014. And then we see that they're going to meet up with Buhari for some sort of support, or even though Buhari hasn't stated anything regarding that. Should Nigerians be circumspect about this move? Should the political actors who did the coalition in the past, do you think that they should step aside so that we'll have new faces? Do you think that their mindset is probably different from what it was then? How should Nigerians react to these coalitions for a better society?
Yeah, for a better society, we should be really thinking about having people with different minds. Because those people, we've seen them, they've been in government. So that's the problem. That's why a lot is trying to circumstance are afraid to really put all their legs forward in the coalition, because these are the same people. The purpose is just to grab power. And then once you get power, what happens is the individuals that you throw into the ring, they will make or mar the process. So the coalition that Nigerians thought PDP was the problem, there was the albatross of Nigeria. So they had a new organization that brought everybody together. And then at the end of the day, because it is still the same old people, I think that we are able to gang up again, even in APs under Buhari. If Buhari hadn't been the president of this country, maybe we would be wishing that if he had, maybe we would not be where we are today. True. But unfortunately, we saw when he came into government that Nigeria equally nosedived the more. So now we have another man who didn't really tell it is my turn to be president. That's the precise major thing. So, and then we see how we are wobbling, and then so it's still the same old people. But then we never can tell. We just pray, because when you have an individual, I'm sorry to go do this, because when you come to ENUGU State today, you can say, yes, Peter Mba had once been in government. But today, what is different between him and the other governors? That in 2 years, you have seen the transformation in the ENUGU State. You find that there's a man who is intentional, who wants to make a change, who has a program, a purpose that he's pursuing. And then we should be praying that we'll have such a person at the helm of affairs of this country that can start. It takes one man to make things change. Just take one man that is determined and have the political will to do the right thing. And the thing starts changing and people start aligning themselves to it. So that is what we should be praying for. Who knows, amongst this pack, there could be a man that is more determined and has the mind to help this country.
In 2019, of course, the talk about coalition was there, but Peter Obi had to leave the PDP to the Labour Party. And so many persons thought that if he was vice to Atiku, not 2019, 2023 rather, if he was vice to Atiku, it would have been a walk in the park for them. He would have won that elections in 2023. And so because of that, we have seen how the Southeast is behaving with its votes. The anger is still palpable. The Southeast is still angry that these two political parties have taken them for granted. They didn't give them their tickets. And so anybody who comes from the Southeast, they're going to stick with the person. How important is Peter Obi in any coalition at all that somebody is mouthing about? Because we've seen the numbers that Peter Obi can pull on a very good day, going into an election without a governor, without a rep member, without any structure of any sort. I mean, they said he didn't have a structure. It was 2 or 3 persons tweeting from a room. How important is Peter Obi in the coalition?
Yeah, Peter Obi, his ability to really connect with Nigerians as he did that first time. What happened, the government in power gave Nigerians a false hope through the INEC that your votes are going to count. And people believed that government. The process, we were being told how your votes will be electronically transmitted and so on. So people said yes. A lot of people I know that have never cared to vote got interested and said this time that our vote is going to count. And they saw a man that was just not saying things he would do. He has done it before. He has been a governor of a state. And we know how governors behave. And we know how he did his own. So his message was able to resonate with Nigerians, not just Southeast. Southeast came because of the feeling of being alienated from the project Nigeria, of being marginalized and maltreated, feeling that we are not part of it. So they really say this for once, not just that he has from the Southeast, but other Nigerians have accepted this man because they believe he could put something different from what we used to see. So that was able to it became a movement. The structures was people on their own. There wasn't political structure. But in that election, I saw people that doesn't belong there. They came, they manned the polling booths and so on. People brought in their money to support, because the structure we are looking at, believing it's all political parties, masses became the structure. So what I wouldn't know is his ability to still move Nigerians in that same direction, whether he's in a coalition or not. The ones he did, there was no coalition. It was just like, but the message was, people accepted it. So his ability to move into a coalition where, if what we are hearing is anything to go by, where he might not even be the main person. So how is he going to push the message? Will the Southeast be voting just because he's there? We've had other presidential candidates that have Southeasterners as their running mates. So, and then the Southeast was dominant in a particular political party. It's like they abandoned their own. So it's not just about coming from the Southeast, but the Southeast having this trust. If you are running for a vice president, what actually can you really do for the Southeast to change the feelings in the Southeast, the marginalization in the Southeast? So what is the promise?
Do you think they undermined his strengths, the other parties? Because there was a time they were talking about he and Kwankwaso. There was also a time that Atiku said that, I mean, you would have been my vice. I mean, that's the only path. In fact, recently he even mentioned that Peter Obi, his only path to becoming the president is by him being his vice first. You know, so you see all of these drama playing out, and it does look like it's going to play out again. Kwankwaso, well, has seen the numbers, because again, Peter Obi, before the 2023 elections, didn't, I mean, at the very best, he just ran under Atiku in 2019, and that was his first test of being a presidential ticket. But he went the whole hog in 2023. So most persons, including Atiku and Kwankwaso and every other person, didn't believe in his strengths. I mean, you haven't done it before. How do we believe? Somebody like Buhari had experience. We could say that he could gather 3 to 6 million votes, you know, from the north. So he just needed somebody who can galvanize the South for him, and that was the reason why they won the 2015 election with the support of ACN. But as it stands right now, do you think it stands a better chance of going to the negotiating table and say, look, I have done this before, and of course, you know, with the stuffing of the numbers, like what we see in Lagos, or what we see in other places where, you know, the alleged claim that his numbers were reduced, do you think he has a better chance of announcing that he could be a major contender for the presidency with what he has, maybe with another political heavyweight like Kwankwaso or any other person?
Oh, well, I think the dynamics of politics, after that 2023 election, I can tell you a lot of things have changed equally.
Absolutely.
And then the government in power is equally not oblivious of what happened. And so they must be playing their own graphs together. However, I still feel that P2B is not somebody you can just wish away. His credibility, his performance, Nigerians still look forward to him, especially the youths. So I don't think it's somebody you can just dismiss with a wave of hand. But then, how whatever permutation, whatever coalition he gets himself into, will go a long way to determine whether Nigerians and the Southeast will actually go for him. Depending on the people around him and the kind of political groupings he's having there. I don't believe the Southeast still are very much interested in having number 2. What's wrong with giving us number 1? Why can't we be president of this country? Haven't we sacrificed enough to be the president? Who is a more Nigerian than a Southeasterner? Who is a more Nigerian? Which part of this country can you travel to and you see the development there without the Southeasterners? So the reality is that it's high time they should be allowed, Southeasterners should be allowed to lead this country, to really give us that sense of feeling that we are part of Nigeria, we are part of this project, we have shared our blood for it, we have done everything for it. So P2B should be allowed, not just P2B, a Southeasterner should be allowed to have a go at the president of this country.
Atiku says that's the only way to him becoming president is for him to become vice first. Do you agree with that thought?
Okay, why can't Atiku be a vice president to be?
Because he's been vice before.
He has been vice before. Okay, then let him support somebody. Must it be him? Must it be Atiku? Aren't there younger ones? So for you to be a leader at this point, you've not been able to mentor some people that you can push forward. Does it really show you were successful? So it's not high time he should be a statesman and get the younger ones that are in tune with the current situation where we are today, with ICT worlds. Look at the presidents of other nations and so on. So must we go back there? So that's my own personal thought, though, which I'm entitled to.
Okay, so given what we have right now, do you think it is possible for people to still remain in their political parties and support a particular candidate? Not necessarily coalescing into one party, or maybe having everybody, create a structure that kills their structure into one, but just have an understanding. Well, we know you cannot win this, you cannot win that, but on this particular one, on this presidential election, ask everybody in the political parties to go and vote for this particular candidate. And how do you think that would work?
Yeah, our major problem is our electoral system. If we can get our electoral systems right, yes, what you are talking is very, 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 very possible. And it has happened before, like I said, in 2023. People choose candidates. You come to press, say, I will vote for this Mr. A in presidency. I'll vote for Mr. B in national and in the Senate. I'll vote for Mr. A in the state governorship. So people had choice. They were voting for individuals. It wasn't the bandwagon effect as it used to be. It is one party all the way. Just press a thumbprint umbrella or thumbprint broom everywhere. People had choice. People were now voting for individuals which they believe in their capacity. So I believe our major issue with our democracy is our electoral system. The moment we're able to get it right, that our votes will count, you find out that you can pick in Anambra, YPP won an election. It's not a dominant political party. It won an election because the people in that area had confidence in the man that the party brought forward. So since Nigeria, our constitution are not allowed for independent candidates, there are several political parties. So why people clamor and struggle for a bigger party is because of the electoral system, where you have people so that the people can defend their party, can defend their votes at various wards and so on. But if things are moving on fine, you don't need to have people in all the wards. You don't need to have your party people fighting over your ballot boxes and your results, because you have confidence that the umpire should be able to count the result and register the result as it is. So if the electoral system is improved upon, is allowed to be what it's supposed to be, then what you're saying is correct. People can make choice. In presidency, I'll vote for Mr. B. In the Senate, this is the man we feel can represent us well. In the State Assembly, this is who we want. In the governorship, yes, we want this Mr. B.
There's something dicey about that, because if you say in presidency, go and vote for this, you said there was no bandwagon. There was bandwagon in the Southeast. Bandwagon in the sense that Peter Obi, because he's on the Labour Party, everybody who was on that Labour Party won, especially in Enugu State.
Yes, it happened.
So you could say that those people don't even have clouds. You can't say they have
with
experience.
you.
So there was bandwagon.
There was a bandwagon, yes.
So there's an issue. If a political party says vote for this person, I mean, because the presidential election comes first, it is difficult for you to not tell them in the gubernatorial. We know what happened in Enugu State and in other states in the southeast. PDP almost lost the state in 2023. You know, so it's kind of dicey. That's why if you want to go the whole hog, go the whole hog, because maybe they say our electorates have not been exposed much to know the difference. Do you see that as a problem?
Yeah, you are correct. You're correct. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem because, like we said, our ability to educate our electorate to really get to pick individuals. That's why I still say again, people try to queue into party formation. And like you said, yes, it is a bandwagon of Obi that people voted for people they don't know. It's funny, but I asked somebody, who did you, I don't know the person, but I voted Labour. I started laughing. So it's something that was interesting, but I doubt if it can really happen this time around.
You don't think it will happen again?
No.
If there was if there's this wave that comes on again, you don't think it will happen again?
I don't think so, because the worst thing that you can do is when you undermine somebody. People undermined what was happening in 2023.
Absolutely.
It happened sometime in ENUGU here again, when election was cancelled midway, because people never took, then it was just one political party, people never took them serious. It was after the cancellation of the election that they now saw that the people were actually moving out of what it used to be. Then they woke up from sleep. So it happened in 2023. Everybody is aware. We've known it can happen. So you need to work towards not allowing it happen again. That kind of bandwagon effect, I really doubt if it should be allowed to happen again, because you don't need to take chances.
Anyways, I mean, we're going to build up more to this, because we have to really unravel this properly, because coalition is on one hand, then staying in your parties and announcing that you should go for this particular political party. Would it be the same thing if they go to another election, say gubernatorial, and tell them to change from what they said they should do? So
I've had many political parties that normally will not field some candidates either at the national or the presidential. I say, okay, we're only interested on this. At the national level, this is who we should vote for. The point is, how much people are they controlling in that party? How much people really believe in them? So if it's a party that have that strength, yes, it can make a difference. But the leaders of this party will always use that statement to equally have a stake, believing that the bigger party they say they are working for will win. So they'll have something at the end of the day. So it's another system of just another coalition kind of, but it's an alignment and trying for the leaders, so that once you win, they'll say, our people voted for you. After all, we didn't have a presidential candidate. We said we were working for you. Absolutely. So it has happened before, and that really don't make much difference. Because like we said, once the party is not strong enough to field candidates, what are they really offering?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honorable Frank Anyoma, many thanks for your time. As a special advisor on political matters and a local government administration expert, many thanks for your time and your analysis on the show today.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure and honor to be with you.
All right. We're back after this short break. Do stay with us.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges. Completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
Welcome back. This is Signature Morning on Signature TV. It's Tuesday, the 22nd. Hope you're good out there, wherever you are watching us from around the world. We are on SLTV 265. You can also watch us live on YouTube. So we're changing gears right now to discuss the youth and transformational leadership in Nigeria. I mean, so many persons have talked about Nigerian youth and what they are really about. If you look at the numbers don't look good, especially as it concerns the fact that in the last 20 years, we haven't had a youth rule this country. I mean, it's only recently that we even had a law that allows the not too young to run law that allows youth to even get involved in that political space. So we're going to look into those because we have two guests in the studio with us. The Nigerian youth and the national leadership transformation is the topic. And we have Agunsi Uche Kontash. He's a TLM chairman, planning committee. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. That's from my far left.
Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Good morning to you. And we also have, to my immediate left, Honorable Ikenna Onaga. He's a TLM chairman, planning committee. Good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Nice being here. Thank you so much.
Let me start off with you, Honorable Ikenna. How would you explain the Nigerian youth in the context of leadership, especially political leadership in Nigeria?
Okay, well, their involvement is very low, probably because of the examples they've seen in the past. And that's actually what we are talking about right now. You know, when they see the good example, that's when they'll be motivated to be part and parcel of the sales system. So probably because of the wrong examples they've seen in leadership or because of their mindset, that's why they feel they are not involved. But with the not too young to run bill, we are here to advocate and say it's time for young generations to get involved in politics and in governance.
But the youth in other part of the world take the lead. I mean, you see them, if there's something that they don't want, they go for it. If there's something that they want to push for, they go for it. If they say this is not the person that they want, they push it to that point of, the fact that they're not going to allow the person to take over power. But we've seen over time that when the youth speak, they speak with low tone, they speak with low voice. Even the protests that they would organize, you see divisions, so you wonder, are the Nigerian youth really even focused?
Yes, I believe they are. I believe they are very, very focused. It's about the system. To me, it's about the system. You said in civilized nation where people protest and they go scot-free. What happens here? When you protest here, your life is endangered. A whole lot of things will go wrong and all that. So you naturally give them that complacency, that lay back. They will be like, whether I say anything or I don't say anything, what will happen will happen. So I think beyond the politics is about the system. The system needs to be sanitized. And with the sanitization of the system, the youth can be motivated. And when I put my effort, I know I'm going to get a positive result. For instance, let me make reference to what happened in 2023 election. People came out en masse, and for the first time, to the best of my knowledge, they say, this is the person that we want. And it went the way it went and all that. You can't protest. They will tell you, that you have to accept it the way it is. If you're not comfortable with it, go to court, this one, that one. That's the system we're talking about. If the system is working where you know that when you cast your vote, that your vote will count, then you can give it all up. But why waste the effort at the end of the whole day? The system will just turn the whole thing against, and so the motivation will not be there. That's my own personal opinion.
Okay, let me come to you, Agunsi Uche. I mean, his mindset seems to be one that is, giving up. you were talking about the system, and the system is not working, and you tried a thing or two, and it doesn't work, then you just, you know what, let me not go and keep myself for this country, let me just stay back, you know. Do you think that thought is one that resonates the most, you know, with the Nigerian youths? Do you think that Nigerian youths may have given up? They have tried all they can and it didn't work, and you know what, the best thing is just to stay back and watch these people do whatever they want to do?
Okay, I agree with what he said. Giving up, maybe giving up to the system, not giving up as a person, because if you really say the youth have given up, they will commit suicide. But you see, they are succeeding in their business, they are succeeding in some of their career. That means they are not giving up as a person. They've not given up to the vision that Nigeria will be better one day. They might have given up because the system is hijacked. The system is corrupt. Most of the result they expect to get, they're not getting it. Even the judiciary system, we see things that plays as if it's a movie in Nigeria. You see the truth before your very own eyes, and they will come up with a story that it will shock you. Like, it's only in this Nigeria that Federal Capital Territory at some point was addressed as a state, and at the same time being addressed as a, you know, a lot of drama happening everywhere. So the youth are giving up on the system, not as a person. If they see a positive energy, they will cast their energy there. In as much as you feel that the youth are not talking, go to the state, you see them. Go to meetings, you see them. Go to everything they're making in their effort. In our technology, you can see even young men are producing aircraft in this nation in a minimal form. But the system is not encouraging them. Some are even producing cars, some are doing a lot of mind-blowing innovations, but they're still in remote areas. So to me, the youth have not really given up. But from what angle he's saying, that the youth has given up on the system. All they're waiting for is, where can we see the light through the tunnel? And they will cast their energy towards it. And some of them are even putting their energy in a negative side too, because they've not gotten that positive environment to cast in the energy. And one thing about youth you can't take away from is the energy, the drive. If you don't channel them to the right one, they will drive to the left one. Yeah, that's life. There's no vacuum in life.
You know, I'm just thinking about the vibrancy. I mean, if you look at the 1960s, the likes of Ojukwu, the likes of Theophilus Danjuma, the likes of Obasanjo at the time, these guys were in their 30s. They were military leaders. They were leading this country. I mean, do you see that today? Do you see the Nigerian youths leading a country, you know, like they did in the past? You wonder, is there not something fundamentally wrong with the Nigerian youths of today versus what we used to have in the past?
Yeah, I will not agree with you vehemently, because when you talk about the e-money, them and all of them, some of them are in their 30s. But that's the environment they saw themselves in, and they are thriving in that area. The Ojukwu, the Danjuma, the military, the people that colonized us gave them room. Some of them studied abroad, some of them saw that light, some of them read law, some of them were military. So they have a platform to thrive. But in this nation, even our education doesn't give us the right platform. Even what you read cannot be used to work in any society. Today, people are giving job not because of merit. They give job because somebody somewhere knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So today, nobody wants to celebrate the A1, people that came out from school with A1, 2, and even the more dollar you are because you know somebody that knows somebody, they call it godfatherism. You get to power, and sometimes you see your leader is not competent. But he's the one that announcing that he's the leader. But you are the one walking from behind the camera, and you are succeeding, and all the accolades is being given to him. Today, we don't celebrate brilliance, we don't celebrate competence, we don't celebrate integrity. Someone picks somebody's money and return, and there's no national award of MON or OON. But today, who do they give those awards? Even in some of the awards you now give, you see people buy award with money. So these are some of the things that discourages the youth. If you have something you're looking up to and you're working toward, you know, remember those days your father would tell you, if you come first, I will kill far for you. If you come first, I do this, I go on holidays. Today it doesn't happen. Most parents are telling you, if you don't make money, you're useless. You are the first son, are you the first son for nothing? And today you see most of them go into Yahoo or whatever, because they thrive in family now is make it. No matter how you make it, they welcome you. And sometimes they even give you chieftaincy title in order to honor your bad earning style. So today we don't do those things that they were doing, you know, Juku's time that helped them to come up to limelight. They have bad people there, but the system did not allow them to grow, and some of them died naturally. But today, the system that allowed the good people to thrive, and the bad ones are the ones making it, as long as they have money. And today, look at young people, they don't believe in love anymore. Meet all these young boys, young girls, love is gone, relationship is gone, everything now is monetized, including human relationship. And before you know, in the next 10 years, people will be selling their children. Say, how much do you have? Okay, my daughter is for sale, take this. And they will be going for the highest bidder.
Yeah.
Because the way this nation is going, without money, you can't survive anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares for your education. Nobody cares for your moral integrity. Nobody cares for your family value. Nobody asks who is your father. No, all they ask is how much do you have in your pockets.
Wow. Honorable, you speak about the system that has refused the youth to thrive.
Yeah.
What is the role of the youth to changing this system?
The role is by getting involved. There is something I call value reorientation. For instance, Nigeria is just like a vehicle. Do you know you can buy a brand new vehicle and with a wrong driver there, the vehicle will not still move? I'll give you this illustration. Back then, my dad used to have 504 manual many years ago. And you know, as a young guy, I've always wanted to know how to drive. So one day I entered the car, very powerful car, nothing is wrong with the car. Instead of putting it in gear 1, I put it in gear 3. You know, when you move a car, you have to put it in gear 1 so you can start moving. Put it in gear 3, and naturally you do gung, 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 gung. I keep telling people, I don't know what is wrong with my dad's car. There is something wrong with this car. But amazingly, nothing is wrong with the car, something is wrong with the driver. The same car, without taking it to mechanic, my dad went out the same car and started the car, put it in gear 1, and it will move. The same thing with this nation. Nothing is wrong with the nation. If you transport everybody in Nigeria and move us to Canada or UK, any country of our choice, and move the people back, give them few years, people will start running back here. Why? Because over there the system is working. By God's grace, I've traveled, and I think some of our leaders will go out there.
They behave.
You will come to one particular time. I was in a place called Edgar's, this in South Africa, and I told the guy I'm with, I said, this man in front is a serving governor in my, I won't mention his name. He's a serving governor in my country, and he's on a queue, a place like ShopRite. I'm just imagining that same person back in Nigeria here coming to ShopRite. I was in ShopRite on this. A deputy governor came to buy toothpaste. They stopped us from entering ShopRite. Not the deputy governor of this state, another state. Stopped us from entering ShopRite. Why? The system is collapsed, and that's where the discouragement comes from. And that's why we are saying value reorientation. Let's raise new generation of leaders that have a different mindset, that have the right orientation, that have the right vision. When you are giving power to serve, you are not giving that to enrich yourself. What will naturally come? You are giving power to serve so that you can sanitize the system, so you can make the system workable. You don't need to know anybody to get a job. In Nigeria of today, if you don't know XYZ, some of these choice jobs, you can't get it. If you don't know, if we have even gotten to admission right now, there are certain schools you can't if you don't know social. So there must be so what's the sense of JAB, writing JAB? What's the sense of writing WAEC? What's the sense of writing all those things? You see some people come down and study, but still nothing will still come out of it. Why? It's the system. If you tell yourself the truth, naturally you need to. When they go on campaign, when I win, I will do this, I will tie your road, I will do the same person. When the person sits on the seat, now you dare not come in and inch close. Why? So why would you expect the youth to get involved in whether? Because they know that they already have. In fact, I was talking to you the other day. He said, "What is of election? Why do you sit back somewhere and write the results and then submit?" That's all those. In fact, one particular day he was telling me that they will be there. That as the election is going on, the person that they've already declared the winner is already celebrating. People are still voting. What kind of system is that? It doesn't make sense. So let's face what is facing us. And tomorrow they tell the youth who want to get involved. Why would they get involved? But we are here to say that a new Nigeria is possible. Yeah. A new Nigeria. There are new breeds of Nigerians coming up.
Yes.
There is a remnant coming up. There are very few. And they will spread like wildfire. Whereby we'll sanitize the system and the system will start working. I always tell you I'm one of the few people I don't have plans of jabbering anytime soon. I have the opportunity. If traveling is my problem, by God's grace, I can travel to any country of my choice. But it's not an option for me. You know why? I'm a bona fide and son of the soil. I don't have double citizenship anywhere. This is our nation, and we all have to join hands together and create a Nigeria of our dream. And that's why we're here. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic, really, because again, We have highlighted some of the ills, some of the issues, but again, if you look at the solution, sometimes it's tied to these same old ways and old system. I mean, we talk about politics now. We're talking about coalition for 2027. We're talking about alliances for 2027. We're talking about the leadership. Will you see those old PDP? This is the El-Rufai trying to do the same thing. And then these guys, because of beyond even their weight, we also see their influence in terms of money.
Yeah, the financial weight.
Yeah, so, and there's no use these days that you will not ask that, come, let me give you XYZ amount. Do small thing for me in your locality that will not do because of the level of poverty. Yeah. How much of poverty do you think, is influencing the useful change that we really desire?
Well, I won't attribute it only to poverty. I will insist is value reorientation, because in the same 2023, a man came out and said, I'm contesting for presidential election, and I know they give shishi. And people were following him. You can't tell me in 2023 there is no hunger in the land. What they took time to do is that a man sat down and worked on the people's psyche and revalue, he uninstalled the old app, installed the new one and rewired them, whereby I was part and parcel of the election. I was actually involved in the 2023 election, and you will talk to people, they will tell you no. Is where and I said, some even went to say, if you vote for so and so, we are going to give you so and so. They said no, we don't need your dime. You know why? Because there is something greater than money, which is psychology, which is belief, which is an ideology, and that's what they worked on in 2023. They worked on people's ideology. We tell them, see, I can give you 10,000 today to vote for me. I can give you 100,000 today to vote for me. But guess what? After how many days? You'll be looking for the 100,000 and you won't see it again. But if the right person clicks there, you will have that 100,000 on your table every day for the next 5 years, for the next 8 years, for the next 12 years. And you just sit back and say, which one is better? If today vote and the wrong person enters there, and then I starve today, and tomorrow the right person enters and I'll be thinking, I think it's better. Why? Because somebody has worked on your value system. So I don't think I won't attribute to poverty. Yes, there is a role for poverty. You catch some people, why do you go into stealing? They say it's because of I came from a poor background. Why into prostitution? I came from, is a lie. There are many people that came from the same background, they are not into prostitution. There are people that came from the same background, they are not stealing. Why? They have a better orientation of life. So the youth, I won't tell you because it's poverty or anything. Yes, there's poverty in the land. There is hunger in the land, no doubt. It's biting everybody. A sizable number of Nigerians, no doubt. But that's not the reason. We've not gone to have a platform where, look at what is going on there. There are some private schools, your children cannot go there. It's not possible. Look at the entertainment industry, look at what is going on there. You want to blow, come and join XYZ, come and join so and so and all that. I'm a good singer, I have talent like you, but because you're more connected to the up and mighty up there, you say that I will not blow until I'll bring my music to you, nobody will hear it. But you just cough. They will hear it and they say he's a hit track, and so the system is corrupt, and we need to sanitize. It's not just financial corruption. There is leadership. I always tell people, everything rises and falls on leadership. There is leadership in everything in life, including your home. There is governance in the home. The man is the president, the woman is the vice president, the children are the constituents. And if you're not a good leader in the home, they will give you a bigger platform, which is the same thing will repeat itself again. It doesn't make sense. So I think it's beyond poverty. Thank you.
Uche, coming back to you, I understand that there's a special program coming up in ENUGU State, which will be this weekend. Can you talk us through this particular program and what it intends to achieve?
Okay. This is the 4th edition. We've had it for 4 years now, and it's not a movement that started after Obide movement. We saw Obide movement before it even came to be. We started before Obide movement. We started telling them that a new Nigeria is possible. So 2023, they just saw a glimpse of it, and we kept doing it, telling the youth that it's possible. And we are not training political leaders alone. We are training all spheres of leaders. Like the team, this is producing the total leader. We are touching on the 4 legs of human reformation. We are talking on the relationship. That's why I was able to tell you that if you do your statistics, go to the street, you'll now find that 90% of the youth don't believe in love and relationship anymore. It's now win-win, 50-50, just a transactional relationship. They don't believe in agape. They don't believe in true value of relationship. They don't believe in family legacy. Who is your father? What do you stand in for? Now that's why people that are into drugs.
But where did that orientation come from? Because it's also from the society that these guys learn these things from.
Yes.
So where did that orientation come from?
I say we didn't import it. It's here. But you know one thing about power is you don't know who you are until power is given to you. Power magnifies. It's like foam. When you insert a foam in the water and you pick it up and you're looking at it from the camera, but think the foam is not carrying anything. But squeeze the foam. Whatever the foam has is to release it. So sometimes you might not know a bad man until you give him power or money. So money is amoral. Money is not bad, it's not good. But give it a wrong man, you see. That's why sometimes you see people complain. He was my friend, we eat with him, but now he's in power, nobody gets to him. He has been like that. You know, poverty has the way of humbling a man. When you don't have power, you look so humble. But when power comes, it magnifies you. You know, sometimes you see people, they buy big cars to cover their mediocrity. You know, sometimes they buy Jeep, they call it Okwetek and Ezek. And so you see some of them suffering from mediocrity. So they use those cars to cover up. Sometimes they use convoy to make announcements. It's not in Nigeria, you use 7 convoys, 15. You know, the more they line up, the more they feel value. That's sometimes any day they move away from power, they die out of depression. They die out of, you see a lot of illnesses that have been in them, but because people around them are calling them, say you're a good man, and they love those things. That's why sometimes they keep poor people around them, so that any day they enter village, those people come, they give them beer, they don't like empowerment. So why we are doing this, that we want to teach the youths, you need empowerment. Sometimes I don't blame politicians. You can't see me condemn any politician, because sometimes I ask myself, which school produce them? We don't have school of governance, but you have school of law, school of medicine. After you've graduated from school, you go there, you do your internship, and when they come out, they look better. But politicians today, they don't have school. They've created school for themselves, called school of fatherism. You must serve. Sometimes they pick touts, and because that tout has served over the years as a better tout, so they give them power, and you now see them repeating what they've known over these years. So while we are doing this leadership, let's catch them young. Who are our target audience? The undergraduates, the fresh graduate, the NYSC, and all of them. Let them come, because we're going to teach that some things the Igbo people do. I always want to emphasize on leadership. That's called one boy system. It's called mentorship. Those things have been bastardized now because of mingling of some cultures. But these are things that we're able to keep leadership flow for a very long time. You can see a man that came from a very poor family, but the father was able to see that this man is doing well. He now takes his son to go and study the man. After 7 years, that guy becomes successful. You can't say that poverty belongs in a family. You know, sometimes they spiritualize so many things, that poverty is in your family. You need to do deliverance, you need to do covenant breaking, and they keep repeating all those religious things. But you see some people, wealth, we are coming all over. It's not only in Anambra, you see where the people come from. Every other state, as long as you learn that principle. And one thing about principle cannot be broken. But if you break it, it breaks you. If this ceramics is produced with clay and it's fired 1,200 degrees. If I leave it and hits hard object, it will break. But if I bury this thing on the floor for 200 years, it will still remain like this, because it's made up of silica. That's sand, that's glass. So every principles must be obeyed for you to actualize a particular result. So we are guiding this youth to teach them. You must not be a politician for you to make it in life. You can be an inventor. You can be a successful businessman. You can be a successful filmmaker. You can be a successful farmer. You can be a successful artist. But everything now is running into politics, because they know that's the quickest way to make name, make money, buy all wealth, and sometimes some of them give themselves diplomatic visa and they go, and you know, all things are. But if you give these young people hope, you will see they will go far. That's why we are organizing this. Nobody is helping us. We source fund and do it, but we believe this year that people will come on board and help, because we believe in this dream. We feed them, we gather them, we teach them for free. Nobody's paying us.
Wow. Yeah. So talk us through more of this, because I mean, you are using your own funds to do these things.
Yeah, we've been doing this thing for the past 4 years, like he said, and it interests you to know that it's self-sponsored, in the sense that we and some other people that are not here with us in the studio are bringing out our hard-earned money to food these bills. This year alone, the list from our budget is what we spent so far is about 5 million naira.
Wow.
at least 5 million. That's the simplest and the most realistic budget. We are transporting more than 500 people for free. Some of them are coming from as far as Calabar. We have to lodge them in the hotel, because someone is coming for a meeting by 8 o'clock and coming from Calabar, coming from Lokoja. You can't meet up living, even if you leave by 5 o'clock. You won't be able before 9. So they have to come in on Friday, which is on the 25th, to sleep over. They won't sleep on trees. We have to lodge them in hotels. We are feeding them. You can't keep young people from 9 o'clock till 5 p.m. in the evening. With empty stomach, they will sleep on you. So there must be breakfast and other. And we're doing this, and we've been, we've been reaching out to people. They keep giving us promises and other. And we believe that before Saturday, that something is going to happen. And we want to appreciate Signature TV for being part and parcel of what you are doing. You guys are amazing. It's one of our principal partners for this year, and we give it to you guys.
It's one of the speakers too.
And the other guy is one of the speakers.
The president,
the president of Signature is one of the speakers. So we're glad to have all of you on board on Saturday.
Okay, I also see the governor is on the flyer too.
Yeah, the governor and the commissioner for youth will be there too.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll all be there.
What will be their role in all of this?
The governor, of course, is the chief host of the event, in the sense that he is the one is happening in his state.
Okay.
So he knows about it, and he's coming to ENUGU. Then the commissioner for youth also is the one in charge of the whole use of ENUGU state. So because the thing is taking place, it's a national program, people are coming from different parts of the country, but because it's happening live in ENUGU, so the commissioner is coming down. He's a youth. Talking about youth not getting involved in, that should be the younger, I don't know if there's any commissioner that is younger than him. The commissioner for youth and sports. He's in his 30s. Yeah. So he's coming to tell them, if I can achieve this at this age, I believe you can too. So that's the main reason why they're coming on board and all that. And I believe that also the current governor is doing his best when it comes to transformational leadership. So he's coming to tell us some of the things that motivated him to do what he's doing. He came with a slogan, tomorrow is here.
Yeah. We
didn't understand that. The day they swore him, he said it's not business as usual. It's business unusual. We don't understand the English, but I think it's making sense now. So these are some of the things we'll be seeing that day. And also, the youths will have the opportunity. For instance, you are mobilizing the whole SUG in the whole of ENUGU. We are mobilizing the whole SUG in the whole of Southeast. They are coming, despite they're on holidays. They are coming. We are putting buses to them. We also talked about free transportation. You can see where the 5 million naira is going to. We are giving buses to all of them. Where is this money coming from? From this our little pocket. So some of them will have opportunity of talking with the governor that day, because it's going to be a town hall. So a section of it is called fire chat, where the people sit down and people ask them questions. You won't just come and talk and talk and talk and talk. No, it's not a church setting. This is an interactive session. People want to talk about that, because some of these people don't even know what the youths are passing through. They don't even know what their problems are. So this is the opportunity they have to be like, I'm the SUG president of XYZ school. We have these challenges in our school. The governor is not, he doesn't know it all. He will be like, okay, if it's something he can attend to, he will be able to do that. If it's commissioner for youth, he will send to look into that matter. They will do the same thing. So that's why we're organizing this event. And at the long run, the big vision is setting up a school of governance. And when we talk about governance, we're not talking about political governance only. We're talking about business governance, because this year we are going to touch the 4 cardinal points of a leader. That's why we call this year's theme, Raising the Total Leader. 4 things that makes a leader. You have to talk about the intellectual, because if you can't read, you can't lead. So we are bringing people that will work on the intellectual, which is the value orientation I'm talking about. We're going to talk about the financial state. A leader without money is annoyance. Imagine a governor, you are getting poorer, immediately became a governor. Nobody wants to sit on that seat. But because there is money involved, so we are going to teach you about entrepreneurship. What will you do? The system that now that you came out with first class doesn't solve the problem. What can you do with your hand? Which skill do you have? Third thing, we're going to talk about the emotional state of the leader. You're a good leader. The Holy Book says that a man that cannot lead his home is not capable of leading society. So if you can't lead, if you are a young leader, you can't even stay with one girlfriend, you can't even build a relationship that can lead to marriage. So we're going to talk about the emotion, and the last is your spiritual state. What is the spiritual state of a leader? A leader should be spiritually sound.
Great, good one. I just want both of you to touch on one very, very important thing, because very recently we hosted the representatives of the NDLEA, and they mentioned the staggering amount of youths that are getting into drug abuse, and the numbers are it's stunning. And it almost looks like they are handicapped even to take care of people who are in that state. Some of them they say they bring them to their office. They have a place where they keep them, but the place is too small. And some of them they just ask them to go away. There are people who have gotten into the point of no return, and people are still getting into that, largely because of depression. Some peer pressure. Some also mostly about maybe lack of nothing to do. I mean, we are a country that are without jobs. More people have gotten themselves into poverty, and these things affect the youths. So would there be a session to really speak on these issues?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're equally leading some of our program in your mind. I will find out that some of the things that leads to this youth depression start from family. Every child needs affirmation. Even God himself did it to Jesus Christ. Each time Jesus do something, the father would just declare and make a voice. Son. This is my beloved son, in whom I well pleased. Hear him. He affirms the boy. He affirms Jesus as a boy. He was doing well. But you see, this absent fatherhood, the father, is bad in Lagos. I went to Lagos. I decided not to live there. The father will come back by 2 a.m., leave by 4 a.m. The children don't see him. So who affirms him? Sometimes they come back with their result. Nobody knows whether he passed or he fails. So some of these things eat up to them. And this internet and gadget thing, because they don't have you, they must have something. And sometimes children, you give them cartoon. Put cartoon for them, and they you don't know what the cartoon is saying. You don't know what the cartoon is educating them. So that we find that absent fatherhood, absent motherhood. You don't affirm them. You don't even speak the right word. Not only in Lagos, you see some villages, you see mothers damage their children with their mouth. You amount to anything, look at you, this. So the girl now is rejected. Sometimes science has discovered that a child can feel rejection right from the womb.
Absolutely.
So if they come up with that and the environment doesn't accept them, and some of them that has one ailment or the other, they don't pass exam and they don't use that word and damage them. And when they come to society, I guarantee you, people that smoke knows how to form their community. They welcome them with 2 hands. They say, welcome, my brother, you need this. Don't forget about this word, just high up. And in high up, they get higher. And they want to become higher than the Most High, but one thing can be higher than the Most High. So the more higher they want to become, the more they're destroying their psyche. And before you know it, they don't think about another thing, and they now form their own community. Today it's so bad that some people go and break soccer away to inhale disease. So it's bad. I've worked with them, and we've organized a session that will talk to this youth. What is the solution? Let the society begin to affirm the youths. Let society, we need to do communal parenting. In nowadays, the mothers uses adage that if one a child because you don't know who is going to eat the leg. When you see a father is scratching cheese, you don't know who's going to eat the leg. But today you see a young man doing what is right or what is wrong, you overlook it. No, it's wrong. Sometimes I stop my car, call them and say, this thing you're doing is because one day you see them come to you and say, thank you for that advice you gave me. Thank you for that correction. But we don't do it anymore. We are so careless now. We are so engulfed with our cell phone. Sometimes I was watching some of these kids, they do. You see a mother pressing phone and the father pressing phone. The girl looked at the father, asked the father question, asked the mother. The girl now goes to the maid who doesn't know anything. And the maid will teach out of the knowledge she knows. I'm having my first menstrual whatever. I say, use this. And you see the girl damaged from that stage. So this drug thing is resistance because we get it wrong from the family. So parents, I need to call them to order. You don't need to make the whole money. Most of our children don't need our money. Because if you give them the right knowledge, they'll make their own money. Because if my father has left a car for me as his will, by now the car will be useless. Imagine me dying for annual banner. So, but if they have left that legacy, that thing that produces wealth in them, in my own time, some of our children, in their time, our cars and our houses will be useless to them because it can't match to their trend. Because in their own time, they will build a house on top of water. Some of them will even hang houses. Some will build houses with glasses. But we can't do that invention. So let's develop them. All this money you are piling up, sometimes some men, when they die, you can't even find their money. Because they can't even tell their children. Look at what is happening today. People that are inheriting well are the people that's more into drug. Yeah. Because there's no force in them to make money. So when they see your money, it's easy to waste money.
Yeah.
You can finish 50 million in one day. I can show you 50 ways to finish 50 million in one day. And this youth know it. So let parents come down and affirm them, and the menace will come down small.
Yeah.
Right. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. Just in addition to the direct question you asked, you know, part of what you are doing in this season, we've not done it before. There will break out sections.
Okay.
You know, mentorship is done in smaller circles. You can mentor with a crowd of 500 people or more, and you are mentoring from the stage there. Is when people sit on it, you know, there will be small circles of 12, 20, and you know, small groups, and other, they will break out into the sections and other. And that's where people can be talked out of it. I always tell people, you don't solve your problem by taking drugs. No, you don't. Rather, you cause more problem for yourself. Because you can just be high. There is no drug you will take that will high you forever. There is no drug. If there is any, please, I want to know the name of the drug. There is no alcohol you will take. You will be high. Hangover, highest it can do you 48 hours. It will clear from your eye. That problem will still be there looking at you face to face like this. So taking drug will not solve the problem. We are bringing experts that are there. Taking them to drug enforcement agents will not still solve the problem. You put them in cell. In fact, one particular case, as the person was there, he met with one of the officers and they still brought drug inside. And they still brought drug inside the cell there. And so because why? It's not about, you don't change things from outside. You change it from inside. You don't kill a tree by just cutting off the branch and say this tree is dead. You are joking. Until you go to the root of that tree and uproot it, that tree is still alive. Just give it a little time, it will come up again. Arrest them, put them in cell. You won't solve the problem. Until we have people that's their job, that will talk on their dissonance. This thing you are doing, you are passing through depression. What is the problem? They will tell you what led them. Everybody has a story why he started doing what he's doing. They were not born like that, so mind you. There is no human being that they gave birth to today. The next day he picks cigarettes or Igbo or alcohol and stuff. There is a day the thing started and something led to it. Most times it's because of the overlooking of our parents. We that are parents, we don't look into what our kids are doing. In my house, we censored all their cartoon my kids watch. You can't watch anything. You have time you watch, you have time you sleep, you have time you, because that's the environment I grew up, and by the grace of God, all of us turned out right in my family, all from A to Z. Then I used to think my father was a bad man, but now I begin to appreciate him. Same thing, my kids will be thinking I'm a very bad guy now. With time, they will know I'm trying to produce the best in them. So, in that summit happening this Saturday, the 26th of April, at the International Conference Center, we have a section for that. And anybody passing through such thing, please, our arms are wide open to welcome you on Saturday. It's starting by 9 and then by 5 p.m. on Saturday.
The International Conference Center is the new
International Conference, yeah.
We are
the first to use it. The one beside Obaraska Independence Layout, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very.
I'm sure you must have gone round to see it. How do you feel after you know so many years of it being moribund?
I you know, the first day I entered there, amazingly, we even decided to use there by coincidence. That wasn't our choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We went to the place we already planned using, and then they told us they have a wedding that day, but we can come back for negotiation. So one of my guys said he wants to use International Conference Center for his own show, for a comedy show and all that. I said, okay, let's drive through there. When I got there, very clear, the vision became clear. This is the venue. There and there we paid for we paid immediately. There and there immediately, the money that was supposed to be given to so and so person, we turned it immediately to them. And when the government heard we are using their facility, they became more interested because it's owned by, and I want to give it to the current governor and the past governor that initiated it. Yes. Because I know it's not this current administration that started it, but at least they completed it. I want to give it to the past and the current administration for doing a great job. When you go there, you will see excellence. You will see smart leader. You will see a man that has vision. My God, when you go to the biggest hall, I went there, I was like, I'm actually in Nigeria. Out of this country. Everything is automated. I said, this is the venue we are using. Everybody that you can't afford but to say wow when you enter there. And if you come on Saturday, you will say wow. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I mean, it's been one interesting discourse, but just to also mention that the event is for this Saturday, that's the 26th. That's for 9 a.m. at the ENUGU International Conference Center. Just in case you haven't been there, just an opportunity for you to be there, to at least even see the edifice. Because, I mean, it's all over the place. Everyone is screaming about that edifice. That's the place that the annual general conference will be held by the NBA. You know, that's been causing a lot of controversy because it was moved from Port Harcourt to Enugu. The event is Transformational Leaders Movement in partnership with Novera Capital Limited, and they're presenting this edition, the 4th edition of the National Leadership Summit 2025. It's themed Raising the Total Leader. I mean, if you enjoyed the discussion today, imagine what would happen on Saturday. There'll be experts coming to discuss on several other things. And it's been one fantastic time with you both in the studio. I've been speaking with these two amazing guests, giving us an insight into what we should expect coming up this particular weekend, specifically on Saturday the 26th. So I want to say a very big thank you to both of you for all what you are doing for the people of ENUGU, not just ENUGU, but of course across the southeast and Nigeria, as the case may be. Honorable Ikenna Onaga is a TLM chairman, planning committee. Many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate you for coming. And we have also had Mr. Uche, that's Agonsi Uche Kuntash. Is the TLM chairman, planning committee. Many thanks for your time. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being part of the broadcast this morning. We're back tomorrow, same time, same station. But of course, you know, we have all our programming lined up for you. We have a news coming up at 12, but a special interview coming up at the top of the hour. I'm Charles Pius. Have yourself a beautiful day.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
1953, Anthony Nahoro moved a motion for self-governance. The North wasn't quite ready. So it took us 7 years from 53 to 1960 to come to an agreement on what should be the thing that bind us together to keep us as a country. And it was freedom, total freedom to the federating units, which were only 3 at the time, then became 4 when Midwest region was created. And don't forget that at that time, therefore, the Western region paid people 5 shillings, the Eastern region paid 3 shillings, the North paid 2 shillings. Nobody was jealous. Nobody talked about national wage. Nobody, and the West could boast free education. It didn't have to be throughout the whole country. They were able to have free education because that's what they wanted. They could boast. They were first to bring in to have television in the country. Today, if you have to go and ask federal government for permission, I'm sure the West would not have been able to say that because they might have been denied. We went further. You could even have your own trade relationship outside the country. So the regions had things called agents in London. And only the one that represented all of Nigeria was called the High Commissioner. We had trade commodity boards. We had freedom. Nobody told the Western region how to use their cocoa money. Nobody told the Eastern region how to use their palm oil money. Nobody told the North how to use their groundnut and hides and skins money. They used it the best they could and paid the salaries that they could and developed the place as best they could, and there was no jealousy. Instead, there was, if you like, rivalry. I'm going to do more than you. I'm going to do more than you for my people. God rest his soul in peace. Professor Nwabo said, the one man that I really admire, so my God, he said he admits that he wrote to me, will have made a mistake in writing the kind of constitution they wrote in 1978. Because they saw the divisions coming because of what some of the things that had happened. That if you have a strong center, it'll be able to bind all of us together. No, it works the other way around. If you allow people to go on their own, and as we had before, that's why I say I am not preaching what didn't happen before. I'm preaching what we always had that worked for us, and it worked for us. No one state today that can threaten the federation. No one state. Before, the regions were big enough that they could threaten and go, and you won't be able to stop them. Forget the fact that, okay, Biafra was stopped. They were reasons. But they were large enough to really tear the federation apart. But today, there's no one state that can threaten. Where would they go to? So everybody will be very happy to remain, to be sent. But then, you have to make sure that that center is not in any way, doesn't even pretend in any way to be superior to the states. They must be co-equal.
Welcome to Signature Evening. Many thanks for joining us. And from our ENUGU studio, we'll welcome you on board the midweek edition. It's Wednesday, isn't it? Oh, it's Tuesday. I'm not taking us all back. I caught you there. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ngozika Mba, and I have my regular co-anchor in the studio, Queensley.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Quincy Roland, and we're delighted to have you for this evening's edition on Signature Evening.
It's a rainy day in Enugu, and actually it's a weather for tea, but duty calls, and we are here to keep you company all through the evening on Signature TV. My name is Ngozika Mba. We will be taking off with politicals, and the stories that will form our subject matters include political crisis and the future of democracy in Nigeria. We'll be having that conversation with the former Enugu State Chairman for APC, Dr. Ben Moye. And again, we'll have a discussion on ethnic politics and Nigeria's unity in the democratic governance, as well as the impact of trade unionism on staff welfare in Nigeria. And for our business, signature business, effect of MSMEs on economic development in Nigeria will also be part of our conversation tonight. And don't forget our regulars, Artograph, Fashionista, and from the chat room, we will bring you gist from the chat box. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles as will be displayed on the screen. After the break, we will bring you the first conversation point on politicals. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Our first point of conversation on politicals. There are three things about democracy in Nigeria. First, Nigerians are passionately committed to democracy, and this has been demonstrated numerous times by the Afrobarometer polls on the subject.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was
Why the main market is in chaos? People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
On politicals, there are three things about democracy in Nigeria. First, Nigerians are passionately committed to democracy, and this has been demonstrated numerous times by the Afro Barometer polls on this subject. Secondly, Nigerians are deeply concerned that the quality of democratic practice is low and in constant decline, questioning even the idea of using the epithet. Thirdly, the bulk of Nigeria's political class has no commitment to democracy and does not respect or care about the commitment of the people. These are the factors that are at the center of inquiries about the future of democracy in the country. Our focal point this evening will be on political crisis and the future of democracy in Nigeria. To have that conversation with us is the past president of the ruling party at the Central APC, Dr. Ben Moye. Good evening, Doc, and thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Ngozi.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, past former chairman APC ENUGU State.
I guess that was what I said. I just said the party at the Central, but okay. The state chairman at ENUGU State. All right, glad to have you. I don't really know where to start, but I'm not going to ignore something that happened most recently. I mean, this is the very first time we'll be hosting you, and so it is pertinent to find out what has actually happened. Can this quote actually be credited to you? The broom has scattered. You resigned your membership of All Progressives Congress. Tell us your story.
Yes, I did. I resigned because, like I said, the broom has scattered. At least in Enugu State, it has scattered. And there are two bunches. The broom, suppose we put it together from 2013. I'm fortunate to be part of that history of EPC from 2013 to the present.
Let me find out from you, from before 2013, because I understand some sort of coalition or merger happened in 2013.
Correct.
Before then, where were you?
Before then, I was in ACN.
Okay.
I ran for Senate, new PDP, led by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And I talk about AMPP, led by now former President Muhammadu Buhari. So
AMPP or CPC?
That's a CPC.
Okay, CPC.
CPC led by the
Buhari.
President Buhari, while the AMPP is the Obunayono.
Okay, the late Obunayono.
These were the people that came together. And if you talk about like the Southeast then, which I'm part of, people that formed it. In Southeast, we have the late Obunayono. We have Senator Chris Ngige of Anambra State. Then you have the Rochas in Imo State. Then you have Nyerere of Abia State. There's this Nyerere, that's Dr. Ikeche Menike. And then in Enugu here, you have the likes of ENUGU, and then you have this Namani, Onyemuche Namani, and then Gerard Jojo Kolota. Of course, my own son, Ideke, who is now in Labour, who is now a senator. Okezia. It was our first gubernatorial candidate by 2015. And then, of course, I was asked to chair the party. And so, when I say we painstakingly put the broom together, it was really painstaking. One, there was no money, so we had to contribute money.
No structure.
There was no structure, so we had to ban this structure. People who followed me from ACN joined what I had then from the West. People who followed the Deke had just finished running on the Labour Party. Then he ran at 2010 on the Labour Party. He brought his own structure. Then he made look from AMPP. So there was no structure, like you said. So starting from the ward to the local government and to the state, we put all these things together. And at the time, remember, at the time was when the Boko Haram thing was coming up. So we were named Boko Harams, we were called all sorts of names, and that was also around the time the Chibok happened. So it was more like we were part of it. I remember a time we went to campaign in a church at Isuzo, and in one of the churches, I won't name the church, but when we got there, the bishop said we should not talk anything about the party or Buhari. We should just talk about ourselves. Now, can you imagine campaigning? They knew who we were, but you shouldn't talk about APC, and you shouldn't talk about President Buhari. You should talk about yourself. It was difficult. It was very, very unfortunate. Believe it or not, there were some churches where they refused to give communion to some members of APC for profound that they are members of APC. Believe it or not, I'm a Catholic, and I'm saying this thing coming out from the Holy Week, and fortunately we lost our Pope, our leader, in just after the Holy Week. So when you think about what we did, no money. I hosted President Buhari, then General Buhari. In fact, when he was visiting ENUGU State, there was no vehicle. I had to get a vehicle from Chief Onyemuche Namani. I'm talking about Siana, because I called the government house. They said there's no armored car. I called Sullivan Chief, who is not a member. I called his chief of staff then. Said there's no, that day they were having their own issue. So it was a difficult time. I rode from the airport. I believe it or not, I picked the then General Buhari, just me and him, and a DSS officer in the front. I put together the vehicles, the backup and the forward vehicle that we used, and pulled him to where we actually had the meeting, where he had to express his interest. There was aerofire in that meeting, okay? And at the end of the day, we went to open an office for him. The first office in this hemisphere for Buhari campaign organization. By the way, by the immediate past DG of Voice of Vaughn, that's Mr. Ukechukwu. He donated that office. We went to open the office and receive it. These were the things we did. And I tell you, we are doing this, fast forward. The people who are in the party now, in almost all the leaders now in APC were in PDP. They were all castigating us. And I'll name names. If you come to Enugu State, the chairman of APC, Ugochukwu Abala, was in PDP. They were castigating us. He's my friend. Okay? And you say we are wasting our time. This is Hausa People's Party. What would we be doing there? A Bogi Party, Boko Haram Party. Go to Ebonyi State. Umahi was a governor under PDP. Winforo, who is the governor now, was a speaker under PDP. Go to Abia State. Ojus Okado was in PDP. He was a senator. Ben Carlo was PDP. Even the minister now in Ebonyi State, Onyejocha.
Okay.
Onyejocha was
Ebonyi State.
Sorry, Abia State.
Abia State.
Onyejocha PDP. Today she's a minister under APC. Even in Enugu State, the minister that was in PDP is a PA to Atiku Abubakar. That is Uche.
Okay.
Okay. You can go to Imo State. The Imo State governor, whom they now describe as Governor General for APC, he was in PDP. And these are people that fought against us. He was a senator under PDP. So when I say that the broom has scattered, this is not the broom we put together. And specifically in Enugu State, there's a court order. There's a court order that clearly, when you talk about democracy, when you started off, part of democracy is rule of law. You can't have that without rule of law. Now, there's a court order that clearly banned Ugochukwu Abala from parading himself as a chairman. But what is he doing? He's still parading himself. The same court recognized another man, a Dr. Adolphus Alphonsus, as a chairman. From ward to state, they are all bifurcated into two. So the broom that we had put together, a bunch of broom, is scattered. So the little we have is one little bunch being held by Ugochukwu Abala, and the other illegally and by the windshields of the national leadership, because they recognize him. And one other little broom being held by Dr. Alphonsus. And you can't have such broom and you go into election. And when I say this, I say it with all sense of responsibility, because you have a party that was growing. At one point, we registered over 100. In fact, your chairman he got a ticket under my leadership. We recorded over 135 membership. We were growing to the point now that when Labour came in, after the broom started disintegrating, a lot of people from APC went to Labour and won their election. Bariso Geza became a senator on the Labour. He's from APC. Professor Namchi became a member of House of Reps. He's from APC.
I think he's currently in Labour now.
Yes, but it's just within minutes they switched because the broom was disintegrated. That's what I say. It's permanently scattered. It was being scattered. We are putting it together, but Labour structure, APC structure moved. Some of it moved to Labour. Some of it moved to PDP. Some supported different people. For example, I supported Peter Mbai. And at the time that...
Even while in APC. Yes. Is it not anti-party?
No, it's not. It is not. Even the President Tinubu just came in and said we should support Peter Mbai. Oh. Is he doing anti-party? No, we're talking about good governance. Because when someone who knows nothing about the party comes in, whatever they did upstairs.
Who was the party's candidate for Enugu State at the time?
Uche Nnaji.
Okay, who is the current Minister for Science?
He came in and started abusing people, including myself. I registered him. I was not a member. I gave him a ticket. I gave him a registration, card in my country home. I registered him there. And then he went on. When he now joined the party officially, he started abusing everybody. He said that everybody is a mole, that there's no stakeholder, that everybody is a takeholder.
Probably he said that because you were also supporting the candidate of PDP.
It would have been true if that happened before.
Oh.
No. What happened was marching on to delegate selection. They started, that is at national level, because there's money involved, they started removing people's name. They started putting their family's name to go to national delegate. And opposition started.
Were you still the party chairman at the time?
No, at the time I was just stepping out.
Okay.
That's after they imposed Ugabala. But Ugabala was not a member of the party.
No, APC.
There was no Congress done. They just announced him a chairman. The Congress.
Who are they?
Where did they? Is one Dr. Arodiobu, and I can describe to you what happened. The party itself had organized a Congress, a legitimate Congress. I'm supposed to supervise as a chairman. Congress is a meeting. So I organized a Congress at the party secretariat. The group sent by Governor the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, he sent Arojobu to do the work for him. They took the papers about democracy. They carried all the electoral material, went to a beer parlor somewhere in Enza Street, organized market women.
ENUGU.
Yes, organized market women. And they said, I've elected Ugabala. And that was challenged, including, at the time, the only person representing the Southeast